A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Five bells. Stand by all stations.
Attention, all districts. A 5-alarm fire. 5 bells. Move in immediately.
That's it. Let's roll. Let's go. Firefighters.
Presenting Firefighters, the true-to-life story of our unsung heroes who stand ready to ride by day or night against our most murderous enemy, the demon of fire. In just a moment, we'll join rookie fireman Tim Collins and his young brother Jimmy in the hallway of the large apartment house where they have just discovered the immediate danger of fire and explosion. It was Jimmy's tip that part of a gasoline delivery intended for the garage tank next door had been mistakenly pumped into the apartment house fuel tank that sent his older brother and himself racing to the scene. Now, in just a moment, we'll check up on the situation. Let's go, firefighters. Let's go to that apartment house next to the garage where every minute brings closer the danger of gasoline being fed into the furnace in the basement. Taking no chances, rookie fireman Tim Collins had phoned in an alarm from his home where he was off duty before swinging into action. And for one brief moment, he and his young brother Jimmy had heaved a sigh of relief as the superintendent told them the furnace was not on. Then, from a complaining tenant, a woman named Mrs. Larkin, came the awful discovery.
Oh, you mean you went to the basement, Mrs. Larkin, turned that oil furnace on yourself?
I certainly did. I'm entitled to some comfort around here.
But gosh, did you know how to do it?
If you'd stood over Mr. Turner to make him turn it up a little heat, Jimmy, as many times as I have.
But I'm the superintendent, Mrs. Larkin. You should have come to me.
I couldn't find you, as usual. Oh. This is really dangerous.
Dangerous? Good grief, ma'am. There's gasoline in that fuel oil tank. But you just now turn it on, you say?
Why, yes,
Mr. Turner, you get down there as fast as you can and turn it off.
But if that gas is seeping in and there's an explosion...
The fire trucks are pulling in now. I'll report to Chief Cody and join you. Now get going.
Brother, I'm keeping my fingers crossed.
You think you'll be in time, Tim?
Well, the fuel oil in the feed line should hold back the gas a few minutes, Jimmy, I hope. But there's no time to take chances. Here we are, Chief Cody, over here.
All right. What's the report, Tim?
Well, sir, gasoline in the fuel tank in the basement. I'll explain later how it got there, Chief. If the superintendent gets that furnace off in time, okay? If he doesn't...
I get it. You heard what Tim said, boys. Check for the street entrance to the basement. Get your equipment in there fast.
There's a garage next door, Chief. That's bad.
Oh, you, Al. Get over next door. Warn them to get ready for possible explosion and fire. Now, Jake, if this block isn't roped off in 2 minutes flat... I'll have you polishing brass.
An awful lot of people live in this building, Chief. We started getting them out already.
Good for you, Jimmy. Oh, wait a minute, lady.
I'm going to my apartment to save a few things.
No, you're not. I don't want any panic started here.
I'm afraid Mrs. Larkin started all this without meaning to, sir.
Well, then she can help us by getting out on the street, keeping out from underfoot. That's your job, Jimmy.
Yes, sir. Okay, Chief.
I'd like to get down to the basement, Chief Cody, and let that super a hand.
Hop to it, Tim. I'll get some men down there with equipment. Good luck.
They're not just going to leave us here.
Well, they've got their jobs to do, Mrs. Larkin. We've got ours. Come on, we better head for the front door.
Good heavens, I forgot to give this to Mr. Turner.
What is it? The thing you're holding in your hand?
I don't know, really. It's a little wheel of some kind. You turn it to bring the heat up in the furnace.
My gosh, you mean you broke it or something?
Oh, no, nothing like that. I must have turned it too far. It came off in my hand. Is it important?
Important? Gee whiz, it's part of the control for turning the heat up. You have to have it to turn it off. And my brother Tim's gone down there to... Oh, I'd better do something about that fast.
Meanwhile, Jimmy's older brother Tim has reached the furnace room in the basement. To his surprise, he sees the superintendent leaning against the metal door, his face bathed in perspiration.
What's the matter, Mr. Turner? Did you get that furnace off?
No, Tim. I did the best I could, but...
Well, that's not good enough. Let's go.
You can hardly step inside there. It's so hot. See? Furnace blazing hot. Sounds like she's shaking herself to pieces.
Well, don't worry. Asbestos suit and gloves, we'll get
You
in.
could get right up next to her. It wouldn't do any good. The control's gone.
A regulator?
Yeah, that fool woman and her meddling. When I got down here, the furnace was heating up fast, but I'd have been time to turn her off.
Well, wasn't there any way you could?
Nope, I tried, and all the while she's building up heat like crazy. Gasoline's been seeping in with the fuel, bit at a time.
Well, that's why there wasn't any explosion. Where's your fuel tank?
The other end of the basement, up high. It's built out under the sidewalk.
Well, let's get to it. That fuel line, that pipe is like a fuse leading to a keg of dynamite. Come on, help me close this door.
Sure. Maybe if you firemen can get your hose down here.
Are you crazy? Water and gasoline? That furnace would blow up. That little room would be like a sea of burning gas and oil.
You said a mouthful, Tim.
Oh, hello, Chief.
Furnace is out of control, huh?
Yes, sir. Sorry, Chief Cody, but we're in a fine spot.
We've been in them before, son. Didn't I hear you say you were heading for the fuel tank?
Yes, sir. It's over here. Come with me.
We smashed through your street entrance to the basement, Turner.
Yeah.
My men will be getting a load of sand in any minute.
Well, that furnace room is a furnace in itself, Chief. Not much they can do in there, I'm afraid.
And they'll do the best they can, Tim. Holy smoke, Turner. That's your fuel tank where that pipe goes in up there?
Yes, sir. It extends out under the sidewalk on a shelf.
Oh, Chief, this end of it's all bricked up. Brick and concrete, except for that little opening up there.
Well, it's fire regulations, Tim. You're not supposed to leave your tank standing in the open.
No, but good grief, man. You're not supposed to make it impossible to get at. There must be a valve or petcock close to the tank to turn the fuel off at the source.
Well, there is. I'm sure of that, only I never had any occasion to use it before.
Well, we do now, and how? This whole place could go up like an ammunition dump any minute. Look, there's a barrel.
Yeah. Give him a hand rolling it over here, Turner.
Sure, will.
If you climb up on it, Tim, we may be able to reach in through that opening. Shut off the feed line from the tank, huh?
Yeah, that's the idea, Chief. Yeah. Here we are.
It was the super before me bricked this up, Chief. Even though the tank's up high, I'd have left an opening so you could get through without trouble.
Well, never mind that now. Here, take my flashlight, Tim.
Yes, sir.
I'll give you a hand up.
Yep. All right, that does it, Chief Cody. Yeah, I can see that petcock on the tank, but I couldn't reach in that far in a month of Sundays.
You mean you can't get at it?
No, sir. That opening's so small a man couldn't get through it.
Oh, blast all superintendents who seal their tanks up so you can't get at them. Look out, Turner. We're coming down.
We'd better get out of here while we're still alive.
Well, whoever walled that tank up left so much space between it and the petcock you just can't reach it, Chief.
Well, we'll just have to smash our way through. Let's get back upstairs for equipment and men.
You haven't got time to do that.
That's the only way to shut off the feed line to the furnace.
You don't get me down here again, not with this whole place ready to blow sky high any minute.
Nobody's asking you. That's our job.
Well, it'll be ticklish work, Chief. Working against time.
You're telling me. I hope they've got the people out of this building.
Yes, sir, and the block roped off.
I can't order any man to take a chance down here smashing through that wall to get at a tank that may blow up in their faces.
Well, so you ask for volunteers. And I'm the first, Chief. Let's get up those stairs.
Yeah.
As the three men race up the basement stairs and emerge into the hallway, the first person they see is young Jimmy Collins coming toward them.
For Pete's sake, Jimmy, what are you doing in here?
I thought I told you to get that Mrs. Larkin out of the building and stay out yourself, son.
Oh, I didn't mean to disobey orders, Chief, but I had to come back.
Well, we'll talk about that later, Jimmy. You get along outside and don't argue.
Oh, I don't mean to argue, Tim, but I wanted to get down the basement and tell you something, but the firemen were making everybody move out and they wouldn't let me in.
Well, certainly not, Jimmy. Looks like they got most everybody out of the building now, Tim.
Oh, gosh, won't you listen to me?
There's no time, Jimmy. You don't know what can happen here any minute.
But I do. There may be an explosion because you couldn't turn that furnace off.
How do you know that, son? Al, come here a minute, will you?
And when I got Mrs. Larkin outside, I found what she had in her hand. See?
Well, that's the control part that was missing, Chief. That's why Turner couldn't shut off the furnace in time.
Well, never mind that now. Oh, listen, Al. Get outside and ask for half a dozen volunteers. Explain there's a blazing furnace down there, shaking herself to pieces. They've got to smash through a brick wall to get at a tank that may blow up in their faces.
I'm going back down, Al, because I know where the valve is on the tank that'll shut off the feed line.
Only it can't be reached. There's an opening up high. It's so darn small, nobody but a kid could crawl through it.
Oh, gee whiz, won't it take time to smash down a wall?
Of course it will. More time than we've got.
Well, then you'd better let me do it, Chief.
What are you talking about? Do what?
Well, you said only a kid could crawl through that opening and turn that thing that shuts the tank off. I'm a kid.
You think we'd let you do a thing like that, Jimmy?
Well, if this is a hurry-up job, it wouldn't take long for me to crawl through that hole.
You want to risk your life?
Well, I guess it would be better than risking the lives of a lot of firemen. You said it would take a lot of time to smash your way through.
No, Jimmy. Forget it.
Tim, if that tank goes up with a garage next door, There's going to be a lot of lives lost before it's over.
Chief, you mean you go along with Jimmy's idea?
I hate it as much as you do, Tim, but it would be fast. It might be over soon enough to prevent a real tragedy.
And if the kid couldn't get that petcock turned off in time?
Yeah, I know just how you feel.
Don't you see, Tim? I gotta do it. There's no other way.
Oh, no, I can't let you, Jimmy. Think of Mom.
I could do it. I know I could. I'll come through, all right?
We'd pray you would, Jimmy, but... Well, this is one case where I don't give the orders, Tim. Jimmy's your brother. You'll have to say the word. But you'll have to say it one way or the other fast. Time is something we haven't got.
Chief Cody has handed rookie fireman Tim Collins the toughest decision he ever had to make. He saw the opening to the tank. He knows Jimmy is small enough to be boosted up so that he can crawl in and shut off the valve on the tank. It might be in time to save scores of lives, and yet, would it? Even though Jimmy is anxious to help, can Tim let him take the risk? To learn what happens, be sure to listen to our next exciting episode of the Firefighters. In just a moment, Chief Bob Cody will tell you, boys and girls, how you can help the firefighters in your own town. But first, here's a message you ought to hear. And now, Fire Chief Bob Cody with a special assignment for the Firefighters Brigade. Chief Cody.
Hello, boys and girls. This is Chief Cody with a word about how you can be a big help to your local fire department. False alarms are serious business. You can help discourage this costly and dangerous practice by teaching the boys and girls you know the danger and folly of tampering with fire alarm boxes. Remember, a false alarm may cost the life of someone you know. That's all for now. So long.
Fire Chief Cody and the young rookie fireman Tim Collins will be back on the same station the next time you hear...
That's it. Let's go! Let's go! Firefighters!
Ladies and gentlemen, the past summer all over America, millions of people went on vacation. And for the first time in many years, Jack Benny, the star of our show, visited the garden spots of America. After finishing a successful radio season last June, he went directly to the beautiful Sun Valley Hotel in Sun Valley, Idaho.
Clark?
Yes, sir?
My name is Farnsworth. My wife and I have reservations here starting today.
Oh, just a second. Let me check that.
Isn't this a beautiful hotel, dear?
The nicest I've ever seen, darling.
Oh, yes, here we are. Mr. and Mrs. Donald Farnsworth. You're in Suite 315. I'll have your bags taken care of. Oh, boy. Boy?
Yes, sir.
Mr. and Mrs. Farnsworth to Suite 316. Gee, the honeymoon suite. And boy. Yes, sir. This time, leave whether they tip you or not. Yes, sir. This way, please. After 3 glorious weeks in Sun Valley, Jack Benny next visited the world-famous Broadmoor Hotel in Colorado Springs.
My goodness, Wilbur, the dining room's certainly crowded. I do hope we're fortunate enough to get a table.
Well, all we can do is try, Genevieve. I'll talk to the head waiter. Oh, Captain. Oui, monsieur. Looks like a table for 2.
Eh bien, a table for 2. I will talk to one of my waiters, see if we have one available. Oh, Pierre. Pierre.
Oui, mon capitaine.
Avez-nous une table pour 2?
Je n'ai pas.
Pourquoi pas?
Il est trop personne ici. Il est très crowded.
I'm so terribly sorry, monsieur, but no table for two are available. There will be a 1 hour wait.
1 hour? Look, Captain, here's $5.
Time to fly. Oh, Pierre, give this couple a nice table.
Oui, mon Captain. Très bien. And remember, $2.50 of that is mine. What? See the last part. The summer wore on, and it was with a heavy heart that Jack finally said farewell to the beautiful Broadmoor Hotel and spent the remainder of his vacation at the jewel of the Pacific, Catalina Island.
Here comes the SS Catalina into dock. Yeah, it looks silly. Look at all the tourists they're bringing in. Gosh, I hope there ain't no cheapskates on board. Yeah. Hey, look, you're starting to throw the coins already. Yeah, get ready to dive. One of the ladies just to aquatic.
It's my turn, fellows.
Goes first every time. Yeah. You know, for an old man, he can just stay underwater a long time. You should have been here yesterday when a guy threw in a silver dollar. Did he stay under long? Twice he sent up for sandwiches. And just to bed, he caught his own sardines. When he finally came up, he was covered with barnacles. Oh, look! There he comes up now. Ah, that's only his hair. Oh, yeah. Well, let's wait till his glasses come up and then go.
But all good things must come to an end, and so did our hero's travels. And now tonight, after a glorious vacation, we bring you the star of our show, Jack Benny.
Thank you. Hello again. This is Jack Benny talking. And, Don, even though you did exaggerate, I must say I had a wonderful summer.
I'll bet you did, Jack. When did you get back from Catalina?
Yesterday afternoon. You see, pardon me a minute. I had a little water in my ear. Well, Don, here we are back on the air again, and I haven't seen you since last June. What'd you do all summer?
Oh, nothing much. I just cruised around on my yacht.
Well, that's... On your what? On your what, Don?
On my yacht.
You own a yacht?
Oh, yes. Bought it just a few months ago.
Don, you bought a yacht on what I
was lucky in the stock market.
Oh, you must have been. You must have been. So you spent most of your time on the yacht, eh? Where'd you go?
Oh, I cruised up and down the coast, and then I took one trip into the Atlantic.
Cruising the Atlantic? Hey, that must have been nice.
Oh, it was, but I had a little trouble getting to the Panama Canal.
Don, is the yacht that big?
Oh, the boat got through. I had trouble.
Oh, I see. Well, Don, now that you're here...
Ask me what I named my yacht, huh?
What?
Yeah.
Oh, all right, Don. What did you name your yacht?
I call it the Girdle.
Good. Now, let's get on with the...
Ask me why I call my yacht the Girdle.
Don, okay, why do you call your yacht the Girdle?
Because it takes a lot of little tugs to get her out of her slip.
Don. Don. Freedom Train. Control your scope for next Sunday, October 12th. Why? Because that's Columbus Day, and he was the first one to tell us. Don, I'm ashamed of you starting off a season by telling an awful joke. What's that?
Stand aside, Jackson. It's me, Charlie.
Phil! Phil!
All you ladies in the audience can sit down now.
Phil, what kind of an entrance was that?
Well, this is the first show, Jackson. Got to come on big. Harris ain't the modest type. I ain't no stinking violet.
That's Quincy! But we'll leave it your way. Anyway, I'm glad to see you, Phil.
Hello, Phil. Oh, hello, Dante. Hey, gosh, Jackson, I haven't seen you all summer. Come here, you pretty thing, you. Oh, you dove. Let me slap you on the back.
Phil, please.
No, come here now. Come over.
Thanks, Phil. You cleaned out my other ear.
Holy smoke, where'd you get all that water?
It's nothing. By the way, Phil, you look awfully well. You must have taken pretty good care of yourself this summer.
Yeah, I took it easy, Jackson. I loafed around home for a while, and then I had to go to Atlantic City for the bathing beauty contest.
Oh, were you one of the judges?
No, I was Miss Encino.
Phil, how could you be Miss Encino?
That's where I live.
What?
It was dear Alice, and I was going.
Well, better luck next year, Phil. But don't tell me that's all you did all summer.
No, well, just before coming back to work, I thought I'd better get a little rest, so I spent 3 glorious weeks at the Frankfurt Distillery.
Frankfurt Distillery?
Yeah, what scenery.
I can imagine.
I sent you a postcard, Jackson, but the mailman drank it.
That's what I like about you, Phil. Entering a beauty contest, vacationing in a distillery. You and Judge will do anything. Only Judge does it with water. Hey, that's pretty good, isn't it?
Huh? Say, Phil, talking about jokes, ask me the name of my yacht.
Okay, John.
What's the name of your yacht? I call it the Girdle because it takes a
Oh,
long... No, John. No, not that oldie. Save it till next Sunday. Why? Because that's Columbus told it to Jackson.
Now, wait a minute. Look, fellas, we're starting a new season, so let's not start...
Hooray for the Yankees! Hooray for the New York Yankees!
Dinner!
Hooray for the New York Yankees! What a team!
Dennis, what are you so happy about? The Yankees lost today.
I know. I bet on the Dodgers.
Oh, well, that's different. How much did you bet?
$18 million.
Dennis, are you crazy? How can you make a bet like that? $18 million.
I couldn't resist. They gave me 9 to 5.
Now, Dennis, I don't want all that silk here. 9 to 5, $18 million. Anybody give you a bet like that must have 2 heads.
Oh, you know him?
Yes, I know him. The 3 of us play pinochle together. Now, come on, Dennis. As long as you're here, let's have your song. Eh?
Okay, but wait till I say hello to Don. I haven't seen him for 4 months. Hello, Don.
Hello, Dennis.
Now, Mr. Benny.
Dennis, aren't you going to say hello to Phil?
Oh, I saw him in Atlantic City.
Phil, roll down your pants leg. The contest is over. Miss Encino. Now, come on, Dennis. Let's have your song.
Okay.
Wait a minute. Come in.
Mr. Benny, if this is your opening broadcast, I came here to...
I touched you at rehearsal.
Oh.
Well, I should have told him. He bought a tuxedo and everything. Go ahead. Naughty Angeline, sung by Dennis Day and accompanied by Naughty Miss Encino. And Dennis, I must tell you that your voice is better than ever. You know, Dennis, most singers have to study, vocalize constantly, and exercise their diaphragm to attain such rich, vibrant, tonal quality. What do?
I gargle.
Well, I guess that's good, too. Yeah? But your voice sounds...
Jack, look, here comes Mary.
Well, it's about time. Wow. Hey, what a reception there. Everybody's happy that you're back. You know?
I'm happy, too, and gee, it's good to see you fellas again. Yeah. I'm going to give each one of you a nice big kiss. Come on, Don.
Right here, Mary.
Phil?
Here I am, Libby. Make me forget about the South.
Dennis?
Come on, Libby, make me forget about Miss Encino.
Here you are. And now you, Jack.
Oh, Mary, not in front of all these people.
Oh, come here. I'm going to kiss you.
Oh, all right.
He all faithful.
Jack, what in the world was that?
Oh, I just brought back a little water from Catalina.
Oh, Jack, you always have to bring home souvenirs. Last time it was towels.
Mary, when did you ever see me walk out of a hotel with a towel?
The time your pants didn't come back and you had to catch a train.
That was an emergency. I had to wear that towel. What do you laugh at that?
You made me call your mother so you wouldn't look silly.
All right.
Mother wore a towel.
Just until my pants came back. Anyway, Mary, I'm so glad to see you. I don't care what you say.
I am, too, Mary, and you look absolutely gorgeous in that new dress.
Well, thank you, Don.
It is a lovely dress, Mary, but isn't it unusual coming to a broadcast with a bare midriff?
This isn't a bare midriff. Phil has his arm around me.
Still cool? I thought it was kind of a fun place for a tattoo. U.S. Navy. Well, what's your coat on?
Say, Mary, are you going in for that new style, you know, the long skirts that all the girls are wearing?
Well, Don, I haven't made up my mind yet, but on some parts they do look very attractive.
Well, maybe so, Mary, but I don't think I like them.
And why'd you let the hem out of your nightgown?
I didn't let the hem out. I added more lace. I can go along with a gag, sister. Now, Mary, stop being silly.
Yes, Libby, refrain from that raucous and gesture of extraneous spontaneity.
Yeah, be a little... Phil. Philzy. Would you mind saying that once more?
Oh, no, you don't, Buster. If you want to hear it again, let's repeat Joe.
I thought it was an accident. Anytime you use words of more than one syllable.
Entree.
Shut up! Come in.
Telegram for Jack Benny.
Oh, thanks, boys. Here's a tip for you. Here.
Thanks.
Hey, Jack, what kind of a tip was that?
Yeah, you gave the boy a nickel and a copy of the Cosmopolitan magazine.
Well, you see, there's a story about me in this month's Cosmopolitan.
Well, what about the nickel?
After he reads what they say about me, that nickel will look like $1,000. I know what I'm doing.
Hey, Jackson, who's the wire from?
I don't know. Read it, Mary.
Okay. Oh, Jack, it's from Fred Allen.
Tear it up.
I will not.
All right. What does it say? Always that.
Yes, dear Jack. I just read that you're going back on the air for Lucky Strike. Lucky about it.
Mary, let me ask you something. Do you think that wire was funny?
Yes, Jack. I think anything Fred Allen does is funny.
Oh, you do, eh?
I do too, Jack.
I thought you would. Now, look, fellas, we go through this every year. It's about time you admitted that I'm a much better comedian than Fred Allen.
All right. If it'll make you happy, we'll admit it. You're the greatest comedian in radio.
That settles it.
I like Jack Parr.
Dennis, we're not discussing Jack Parr. Although now that you brought up his name, I think Parr is a very clever fellow. He's bright, witty, and sophisticated. Now he's young, too. Well, that's right, he is young, but age means nothing in show business. After all, age is a funny thing. I don't know, I remember when I was 8, I wanted to be 18. When I was 18, I wanted to be 28. When I was 28, I wanted to be 38. And now that I'm 38... I don't know.
You've been there long enough to make up your mind.
Yeah, I get it. I think that's... What's that? Who's that marching in here?
Jack, look, it's your quartet.
My quartet?
Yeah, the sportsmen.
Well, what do you know?
Mr. Benny, here we come, right back where we started from. We're happy, so happy that to be back. With Marky, so happy, come and turn and hold it back. We'll all agree, both for good old FMS. Mr. Benny, here we come.
Boy, stop marching.
There you go. Cause we've got to say goodbye. We wish you were Mr. Benny,
How do you like that? How do you... They would come over on my opening show.
What do you mean, Dr. Hell? They still work for you.
They're going to be with me another week.
You signed the contract underwater.
Oh, they came down there dressed as mermaids. Yes?
Mermaids?
Yeah, I thought... I guess I stuck with them.
You complained of the show, didn't they?
Here in the studio, the program is and find out.
Oh, Maple. What does it say, Sid? Mine? Yeah, I wonder what this is. I'll find out. At your home? I'll see if I can get him. Say, Sid, here it is. Yesterday that Mr. Benny went off for year. Yeah. You know, Mabel, I saw him this summer when I went on my vacation to Catalina. Did you? Yeah. And once I went with him, just an half hour. Why? How long can I order? You were under the jacket. Some people went over off bottom boat. Well, why were you embarrassed? Did Mr. Benny kiss you? Yeah, and I got a mouthful of pennies. How do you like that? And you're supposed to be such a big radio star. You know what, J.C.? I've been thinking of going on the radio, too. I have a wondering program. Well, you have it. Concerned, there are too many peculiar people in radio set. I thought there's no business like no business. Yes, I'm sorry, Mr. Benny. I'll get him right now.
Hello, Jumpy Tavern, where you eat me? Jumpy ain't here.
Rochester, it's me.
Oh, boy.
Rochester, what do you mean answering the phone like that? Duffy's Tavern.
One of your writers has got 2 shows.
Not anymore, he hasn't. I I've been trying to get you on the phone. What were you doing?
I was listening to your program, boss.
That's what I called you about. How's my program coming over?
Well,
what?
You want me to water it a little, or will you take it straight?
I'll take it straight. I've got the water. Now tell me, what do you think of the show?
Well, it started out slow. Then it sagged a little. Then it speeded up.
Well.
Then it speeded up a lot.
Good.
Then it made a U-turn.
A U-turn?
Back to sag. Finish out Meekin, Catalina.
Rochester, stop being silly.
We on, Captain.
Tell him boom that out. And Rochester, my first program couldn't be as bad as you thought. Rochester, what was that?
Mr. Coleman just threw his radio out.
Threw his radio out the window? What are you laughing at?
Every year, a little fixing, and we have another radio.
Yeah, well, Rochester, I'm sure that the program couldn't be that bad. Anyway, I'll see you right after the show.
Okay.
By the way, Rochester, what are we having for dinner tonight?
Oh, you're working again.
Oh, yes. Goodbye, Rochester.
So long, boy.
Jack will be back in a minute, but first,
when you buy, folks, see you next Sunday.
this is NBC, the National Broadcasting Company.
Good health to all from Rexall. It's the Phil Harris Alice Faye Show, presented by the makers of Rexall drug products and 10,000 independent Rexall family druggists.
Good evening. This is your Rexall family druggist with a welcome from all 10,000 of us. The 10,000 independent druggists who have made the word Rexall part of our own store name and placed the famous orange and blue Rexall sign on our windows. We've done that because we believe in the 2,000 or more drug products made by the Rexall Drug Company, and we confidently recommend them to our customers. One of the most famous of these products is Rexall Milk of Magnesia, the popular antacid laxative that's so pure, so exceptionally mild, and free from unpleasant earthy taste, even a child can spot the difference. Quality like that is what we family druggists are talking about when we tell you you can depend on any drug product that bears the name Rexall.
Good health to all from Rexall. And now your Rexall family druggist brings you the Phil Harris Alice Faye Show, written by Ray Singer and Dick Chevrolet, with Elliot Lewis, Walter Tetley, Robert North, Janine Roos, Ann Whitfield, Walter Sharp and his music, yours truly, Bill Foreman, and starring Alice Faye and Phil Harris. Last week, Mr. Scott's daughter, Marjoriee, met Julius Abruzio, the grocery boy, and now she has a terrific crush on him. Alice thinks Marjoriee has made an excellent choice. And as we look in, Phil is expressing his opinion.
What does she see in that A&P gypsy? Got absolutely nothing. The poor girl must be out of her mind.
Oh, Phil, you remembered after all these years.
Remembered what?
What Father said to Mother when she told him I was marrying you.
Father said that about me?
Father kept it clean. You should have heard what Uncle Earl said.
Willie, why don't you marry Julius? You and that little baboon deserve each other.
Now listen, from now on, Philip, you'd better treat Julius with respect. He's in a very favorable position with Mr. Scott.
Favorable position, favorable. So what? He can't hurt me. The Rexall people love me. Why, I've been with them for 2 years.
You won't have to work at all next year, Daddy. That's right. Julius said that he's going to see to it that you come into a lot of money.
What money?
He said in September you'll start collecting your unemployment insurance.
He said that, huh?
Philip, this situation might become serious. Mr. Scott thinks Julius is a very intelligent lad, and he listens to all his suggestions.
He does?
Yes.
He really does?
Yes.
Well, do you suppose that he could get Scott to fire me?
Oh, Phil, don't be silly. Mr. Scott wouldn't listen to a child. But if he ever fired you because Julius told him to, I'd lose all respect for him. And I'd tell him so, too. I'd let him know just how I feel
Wait a
about
minute,
it.
honey. There's the bell. I'll get it.
Hello, Harris.
Wow, if it isn't Mr. Scott.
And little me.
Oh, I see you brought your dog, Scotty.
Take it easy, Harris, and watch the way you talk to Mr. Abruzio, an official at a Rexall company.
You're an official?
Yeah. I'm vice president in charge of figuring out a way to get rid of Harris and Lemley. From now on, you'll address me as sir.
Address you... Now, look here, Julius.
Julius what?
Julius, you little stinker. Mr. Scott, don't tell me now that he's a member of your company. What?
Oh, no, of course not, Harris. The boy's just baiting you.
Well, that's better.
However, he has made some very sensible suggestions concerning the program.
Well, if he has suggestions that will help the program, I'm more than ready to listen. After all, I'm a fair-minded man. What have you got in mind, son?
Well, I thought...
I don't like it. It won't work, and drop dead.
Let me explain. I have an idea for using your picture in our new advertising campaign.
What's that? Oh, so you're going to use my picture, huh? Now, that I like.
I thought you would, you big ham bone. We're going to print a full-page picture of you with a caption under it advertising the Rexall product.
Well, what does the caption say?
If you look like this, we got something that can cure it.
Mr. Scott, I ain't going to listen to this kid any longer, and I'm not...
listen till I'm finished. I got other suggestions for you. I think during the summer you ought to work in one of our drugstores for experience.
Me? Me work in a drugstore?
Yeah, you can have your choice. We got stores all over the United States, Canada, England...
Look, if you don't stop with these crazy suggestions, I'm going to...
Quiet! I'll banish you to our store in Outer Mongolia.
Julius, please, don't be such... Do we have a store in Outer Mongolia?
Sure. I just sent him a directive telling them to run a giant 1 yen sale.
Look, if you're finished, Abbott and Costello, I'd like to ask you just one thing.
I got no time now. I got to meet Marjoriee at the market. In the meantime, Harris, get on the ball. Keep your nose to the grindstone and fight on for dear old Rexall. Fight on for
R-E-X-A-double-L. It rings the bell, it rings the bell, ding dong. It rings the bell, ding dong. It rings the bell, ding dong.
What wonderful lyrics.
That arrangement ain't bad either.
Well, I'll see you a little later at the board meeting. So long, C.S.
Goodbye, J.A. That boy has a good mind. It absorbs things.
So does a bar rag. Mr. Scott, are you going to let this kid run your business?
He's not running my business, but he has come up with 2 good suggestions concerning you. One, that you and your orchestra rehearse 8 hours every day. And 2, that in the evenings you make personal appearances at our stores to help sales.
Well, that only accounts for my days and evenings. At night, I can come over to your house and do a little of your ironing.
How are you on pleated dress shirts?
I want to tell you just one thing. My contract calls for me to do a radio program, and that kid has no right to come in here and tell me how to do my job.
Phil, what are you yelling at like... Oh, hello, Mr. Scott.
How do you do, Mrs. Harris?
What's going on, Phil?
It's about my job. Mr. Scott came over.
To fire you?
Honey,
Mr. Scott, you ought to be ashamed of yourself firing Phil.
Mrs. Harris,
Why are you trying to get rid of Phil? Give me one reason.
Mr. Harris hasn't...
What do you mean he has no talent?
Give him a chance to answer.
Oh, Phil, don't be a jellyfish. Let me tell you something, Mr. Scott. We don't like your attitude. We don't have to stand for it. We can work for someone else. And Phil quit.
Who quit? Alice, Mr. Scott didn't fire me.
He didn't?
No, he didn't. Look, Mr. Scott, if you want me to rehearse 8 hours a day, okay. But really, I don't need it. Now, look, I'll take this song right here and do it for you without any rehearsal at all, and I'll bet you $10 you'll love it.
Make it 20, and you've got a bet.
In my dreams, I seem to hear a whistle shrill, like the whippoorwill, and I'm the whippoorwill. In my ears, I hear it ringing, and the past to me it is bringing. It reminds me of that dear old Mississippi, when I loaded cotton on that stern wheel ship. Roused the bow, not the bow. Those were the happy days, there's no doubt. On the Mississippi, where those boats go puffing along. On the Mississippi, darkies all go dippy when they hear a little bit of ragtime melody. It seems I hear them singing, see them bucking, winging, to the banjos ringing. Woo, my heart is clinging to the Mississippi, dear old Mississippi. That's where I was born. To see that side, river all a-glistening in the bright moonlight. With my gal again I am strolling, and her eyes at me they are rolling. All along the levee see those darkies prance. Listen to the music, watch that shuffling dance. Lordy me, can't you see that there is only one place for me, and it's on old Mississippi, on that Mississippi where those boats go puffing along. On the Mississippi, darkies all go dippy when they hear a little bit of ragtime melody. It seems I hear them singing, see them bucking, winging, hear those banjos ringing. Woo, my heart is clinging to that Mississippi, dear old Mississippi. That's where I was born. Well, Mr. Scott, how'd you like that?
As I was saying, I want you to rehearse 8 hours a day every day. And furthermore, I'd suggest...
Hi, Curly. Hello, Alice.
Hi, Frank.
Well, if it isn't the Rexall family druggist.
Good evening. Hello, Remley. How is the American tragedy feeling today?
Mr. Scott, why is your attitude toward me so venomous? Why do you dislike me so? Why?
Remley, I happen to be fortunate enough to hate you, and I am not going to question my luck.
Mr. Scott, there's no room in this country for a word like hate. You should learn to be tolerant like I am. I don't get along with you, but I don't hate you.
You don't?
No.
I just loathe you a little. Frankie, don't talk that way to Mr. Scott.
Let him talk. Let him talk, Harris. The machinations of his minute mind intrigue me.
What'd you say about my father?
Remley, I'm glad you're here. From now on, I want you to work 8 hours a day, every day.
What a ridiculous idea. You can't order me around, Scotty. I don't need you, and I don't need your job, and I'd quit except for one thing.
What's that?
I need your money.
Remley, as long as you're working for me, you'll do as I say. Goodbye.
Lovely person. I've had him for an hour. He has all the charm of a wet sock. Well, that's all we can use here.
Hey, Curly, where did he get all these silly ideas about work?
Oh, it's Julius's idea.
Oh, Julius.
That's right. Since he's been going with Scott's daughter, he's been doing his best to make it tough for us.
That little...
And as long as he goes with Marjoriee, he'll keep on trying to influence Mr. Scott. And I got news for you. He might even blow our job.
We got to break up their romance.
You said it.
Well, let me see now. When two people are in love, what's the best way to break it up?
Have them marry each other.
What was that, Wonga?
Now, wait. I didn't mean us, darling. We're different. Our love is eternal. And it grows stronger and stronger as time goes on. Because our affinity is a thing of beauty and rapture.
I didn't know you had that in you.
You're no more surprised than I am.
Hey, Curly, I think I know a way to break up Julius and Margie. Nothing scares a young guy quicker than when the girl first mentions marriage.
True.
Julius would drop Marjoriee like a hot potato if she were to call him and start talking about their wedding.
That's right you are. But how are we going to get Marjoriee to call him?
She don't have to. All we have to do is get another girl to pretend she's Marjoriee.
Yeah. Hey, look, we'll get a stooge to call. Some girl who we... Alice. I want you to do me a favor.
What do you got in mind, Mac?
Stop talking like Julius. All I want you to do is to call Julius.
I'm not calling anybody. I'm not going to interfere in any romance, and I don't think you should either.
She never wants to cooperate. I don't know what to do with her.
Have you ever tried beating her?
Frankie, a gentleman doesn't strike a woman. It's crude, it's vulgar, and besides, if I ever tried it, she'd fracture me.
Curly, I know what we can do. You call Julius. Disguise your voice. Tell him it's Marjoriee. I'll get him on the phone for you.
Hold it a minute, Brentley. I don't sound like no dame.
Well, speaking of falsetto, tell him you got a cold. Anything.
No, we got to do something. All right, give me the phone.
Here.
Hello, Encino Market. Julius speaking.
Hello, Julia. Guess who this is?
I don't know, lady, but if you're in that much pain, you better call a drugstore.
Don't be a wise guy, darling. Julius, this is Marjoriee.
Oh, honey, you gotta stop smoking them nickel cigars. Sound like a man.
Oh, Julius, you're a cod. So funny. I talk like this, dear, because I have a bad cold.
Oh, that's too bad. How'd you catch it?
Rehearsing the wedding march in a drafted church.
What are you rehearsing the wedding march for?
Because I want to be letter perfect, dear, when you and I get married.
Well, I don't blame you. Married? How'd that weight slip in?
It didn't slip, lover. I pushed it.
Pick it up and carry it out.
Oh, you don't help me. Boo-hoo. Julius, dear, you have just got to marry me. I just bought a completely new torso.
You got a new what?
Hold the wire a minute, sweetheart.
Hey, Remley, how do you pronounce that word?
Trousseau. Correction, darling. I just bought a completely new trousseau. I'll meet you at church tomorrow. Goodbye, Julia.
But Marjoriee! Hello, Marjoriee! Marjoriee! Oh, why do I have to be so irresistible? I don't want to get married. I just have to be blunt and tell her when I see her. I'll put my foot down and I'll... Hello, Julius. Take your new torso and get out of here! Julius, what are you talking about? Just now on the phone you said you wanted to get married, and I turned around and here you, I wasn't talking to you on the phone. One of us must be nuts, and it can't be me, because I just came from my psychiatrist. I just came in. I couldn't have been talking to you. That's right, but if it wasn't you, what girl did call? Who would be stupid enough to pronounce trousseau as torso? Bill Harris. That's the thing. I get it. He was trying to scare me off by making me think you want to rush me into marriage. Your father ought to fire him. Daddy, you do worse than that. Once when he was angry, he said that if anybody tried to promote my marriage, he'd shoot them. What a charming thought. Shoot him, huh? Monty, I got an idea. Call your father and tell him to meet us at Mr. Harris's house in about an hour. What have you got in mind? Mr. Harris is trying to scare us out of marriage. But if we can convince your father that Harris talked us into it, he'll get into a lot of trouble. Oh, boy, what a way to get even with old Red Eyes.
Hey, Remley. Hey, you should have heard the way Julius went for that marriage gimmick. All I had to do was mention the word marriage, and he got scared. Yeah. Sure. My schemes always work.
Someday your schemes are going to get you fellas into a lot of trouble. That's what happened to my uncle on St. Patrick's Day.
Which uncle, Earl?
No, Clancy, and thanks for the lead-in.
Oh, you.
Now, Clancy was a peaceful man, if you know what I mean. The cops picked up the pieces after Clancy left the scene. He never looked for trouble, that's a fact you can assume. But nevertheless, when trouble would press, Clancy lowered the boom. Oh, that Clancy, oh, that Clancy. Whenever they got his Irish up, Clancy lowered the boom. Boom, 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 boom. Now, old Leary was a fighting man, and they all knew he was tough. He strutted round the neighborhood, shooting off his guff. He picked a fight with Clancy, then a dared he sealed his doom. Before you could shout, "Oh, lady, look out!" Clancy lowered the boom. Oh, that Clancy! Oh, that Clancy! Whenever they got his Irish up, Clancy lowered the boom. Boom, 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 boom. Marjoriee walked in through the bar and ordered up a round. He left his drink to telephone, and Clancy drank it down. Marjoriee said, "Who dropped me drink? I'll lay him in his tomb." Before you could pat the top of your hat, Clancy lowered the boom. Oh, the Clancy! Oh, the Clancy! Whenever they got his Irish up, Clancy lowered the boom. Boom, 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 boom. Now the neighbors all turned out to pay who grade his wedding night. McDougal said, "Let's have some fun. I think I'll start a fight." He wrecked the hall, then kissed the bride and pulverized the broom. Then quick as a wink, before you could think, Clancy lowered the boom. Oh, that Clancy! Oh, that Clancy! Whenever they got his Irish up, Clancy lowered the boom. Boom, 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 boom. Clancy lowered the boom. What back of me hand to you?
Hey, that was swell, honey.
Hey, Curly, look who's coming up the walk. Julius and Marjoriee.
Together? Uh-oh. Oh, gee. Now, she must have told him she didn't call him.
So what?
Huh?
They're playing right into our hands.
With a few pointed remarks, we can scare them so bad they'll both be off marriage for life.
Well, I'm not going to stand here and watch this. I'm going inside.
But, Alice, it's a harmless scheme to save our jobs.
Frankie, I think it's a dirty plot, and I won't be a party to it. Goodbye.
Hey, Curly, when the kids come in, we'll really lay the wedding angle on them and watch Julius run.
Okay, but remember now, we got to be subtle about this.
Oh, yeah. Curly, you wait here. I'll let him in.
Hi, Mr. Remley.
Well, if it isn't Julius Abruzio and Mrs. Abruzio.
We ain't married.
Not yet. Take Julius' arm, Marjoriee, and follow me into the living room.
Hello, Mr. Harris.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here. I now pronounce you man and wife. That will be $2, please.
Wait a minute.
Train leaving on track 2 for Niagara Falls. Board.
I don't want to go Niagara
Boat
Falls.
sailing for honeymoon cruise to Bermuda. All ashore. Who's going ashore?
Stop this. I ain't getting married.
That's what you think. Come here, kid. Look, kid. This girl has got her hooks into you. She wants to get married right away.
Does?
Yeah. Scares you, doesn't it?
No. I like the idea.
I knew it would scare you. And what do you mean you like it?
What's your look tonight, Margie? Okay.
Wait a minute, you can't get married.
Why not?
Well, because, well, I, excuse me a minute while I talk to my dirty plot man. Friendly, I thought you said that they'd play right into our hands.
All right, take it easy. I got a head full of dirty plot. Marjoriee, why do you and Julius want to get married?
Because we love each other.
Of all the stupid reasons. Julius, if you want to get married, okay, but why marry a woman?
You got a better substitute,
Julius, what I'm trying to say is marriage changes a woman. Once she hooks you, she becomes unbearable. She becomes a shrew and a miserable tyrant. Didn't Alice Curley?
Frankie, Alice is... Oh, I see what you mean. Alice is a beast, Julius, and I'll prove it to you. Alice, would you come in here, darling?
Come in, Phil.
Watch the way she bosses me, the way she tells me what to do.
What did you want, honey?
Can I go out and play poker with the boys tonight?
Oh, why, of course you can, darling.
You see, she's always nagging. I hate to play poker, but she makes me.
You asked me if you could go out tonight, and I think you should go out with the boys. And stay out till 2 o'clock. It's all right with me.
Who are you expecting?
Her mother's coming over.
See, she and her mother are double dating.
That's what marriage is like, Julius. Miss Faye is married to Mr. Harris, but she's running around with another man.
Can you blame her?
No. But look, Julius.
Mr. Harris suggested that we get married and I'm going to go through with it. But we've got to pledge you all to secrecy.
Why?
Because Mr. Scott said he'd shoot anybody who promoted his daughter's marriage. And seeing as how Mr. Harris suggested this,
Julius, wait a minute. I didn't mean
Nah,
to.
don't worry. How's he going to know? Where would you find anybody nasty enough to tell Mr. Scott?
Tell me what?
That Mr. Harris talked me and Marjoriee into getting married.
Married? Julius, you told him.
Yeah, I guess we found somebody nasty enough.
Harris, how could you do a thing like this to my young child? Wait a minute, Mr. Scott. I can explain everything.
I don't want your explanation. Trying to marry off my daughter, you marriage broker, you. I ought to...
Stop talking, Pop. There's your target. Start shooting.
Where's my gun bearer? I use double old bird shot.
Phil will be back in just a moment. Meanwhile, here's your Rexall family druggist.
I never cease to wonder at the many ways scientists have learned to improve on nature. And it seems to me that Plenamons, Rexall's popular multivitamin capsules, make a pretty good example.
Oh, why? How do you mean?
Well, ma'am, long and careful study of the Plenamons formula has enabled Rexall scientists to make the vitamins it contains more stable than they are in their natural state. For example, the vitamin C in Plenamons is more stable, that is, less liable to lose its full natural potency, than the same amount in orange juice would be shortly after the juice is squeezed from the fresh orange.
Well, how on earth do they do it?
Well, for one thing, the vitamin C contained in Plenamons is protected in the capsule by a special fruit acid which helps keep it at full potency. What's more, Plenamons are carefully fortified, so that when you take them, you should be getting, at the very least, the amount stated on the label.
And are Plenamons easy to take?
Just this easy. The daily dosage is individually sealed in airtight metal foil. You merely break it off day by day, and the remaining capsules stay completely protected.
Say, I'm beginning to think old Mother Nature could take a lesson from Rexall scientists.
Well, ma'am, 10,000 family druggists have learned this. You can depend on any drug product that bears the name Rexall.
Good health to all from Rexall.
We're a little late, so thanks, and good night, everybody. Good night.
This program was produced and directed by Paul Phillips. Included in today's cast were Gail Gordon and Louise Erickson. The part of Frankie Remley was played by Elliot Lewis, and Julius was played by Walter Tetley. Alice Faye appeared through the courtesy of 20th Century Fox. Whenever you have a headache, remember this about Rexall aspirin. When swallowed with water, the 5 full grains of pure aspirin contained in every Rexall aspirin tablet are ready to go to work for you even before they reach your stomach. So whenever you have a headache, remember that about Rexall aspirin. Ask for it wherever you see the orange and blue Rexall sign on the window. And remember always, you can depend on any drug product that bears the name Rexall.
CBS Radio Network presents A Salute to Jack Benny. Tonight transcribed from New York, Hollywood, and Korea, you'll hear Ethel Merman, Ronald and Benita Coleman, Mary Livingston, General James Van Fleet, William S. Haley, Ray Bloch's Orchestra, and the Abbot of the Friars, Milton Berle, all gathered to celebrate Jack Benny's 20th anniversary in radio. And now from the Waldorf Astoria, our master of ceremonies for the evening, Milton Berle.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, once in a great while a man comes along who stands out in his field, a man with not only great ability, but with fine character, understanding, and generosity. We know this man for his great accomplishments, his progressive thinking, and his remarkable leadership. Ladies and gentlemen, you may have anticipated me. After all, how many men fit this description? I'm speaking of General James Van Fleet. Milton. We'll hear from the General later. And now a very few words from Jack Benny.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Those of you who are familiar with our profession know that we of the theater have an organization known as the Friars. Years ago, when Jack Benny was a young friar...
Cousin Milty.
It's Uncle Milty. Oh. Well, anyway, Benny wanted to know why the Friars had never given a dinner for him, and they told him he hadn't earned the decision, or honor, I should say. It had to be some memorable
occasion. That's kind of a mistake I can't figure out at all.
Mr. Benny, when we call on you, you'll have a chance to die. To continue, will you please be quiet, Mr. Benny, while I'm doing my speech? If there had to be some memorable occasion, like, for instance, his 20th anniversary on the radio before we gave him a dinner. That was Jack's first year on the air, but
He never forgot the friar's promise, and ever since he's been waiting and eating very lightly. So, ladies and gentlemen, to explain my presence here tonight, I'll have to take you back to last summer, which I spent in Beverly Hills. I rented a house while I was there, and early one morning, my doorbell rang, and it was Jack Benny. I didn't attach any particular significance to the visit because Jack dropped in about once a week to read the latest magazines and make his phone calls. Well, I'll never forget. Hello, Jack.
Hello, Milton.
Jack, the New Look magazine just came in, and there's an easy chair by the telephone.
Thank you. Look at this picture of Dagmar and look. It's a big picture. Continued on page 40. See, where are my glasses? Oh, here they are. See, it's not a picture of Dagmar at all. It's a B-29. Now, Milton, I came over here today for another reason. Remember the Friars promised to give me a dinner on my 20th anniversary in radio?
I don't remember anything like that.
But, Milton, it's in the records. You're the abbot of the Friars, and I'm holding you to it.
Jack, let go of my lapel. If it means that much to you, when you get home, call Jesse Block in New York and tell him that I said to go ahead and arrange the dinner for you.
When I get home?
Oh, all right. You can call him from here.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And that's how this Jack Benny testimonial dinner came about. A short time later, I got a long-distance call from New York. Hello?
Hello, Mr. Burrow. This is Miss Simmons of the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Yes, Miss Simmons.
I'm calling for Mr. Paley. We were told that you are one of Jack Benny's closest friends.
Well, he and my telephone have been going together.
Well, since Mr. Benny is celebrating his 20th anniversary on the air this year, Mr. Paley would like to get him a gift, but he doesn't know what to buy.
Well, that is a problem. After all, what can you give a man like Jack Benny? He hasn't got anything. Let's see, Miss Simmons. Have you thought about giving him money?
Money? Money? But Mr. Paley would like to give him something that will last.
I guarantee you, when Benny gets his hands on a buck, that's the last of it.
But, Mr. Burrow, money is such a cold gift.
Believe me, he's not interested in heat.
Well, thank you, Mr. Burrow. I'll tell Mr. Paley what you said.
Would you mind laughing it up when you tell him?
Yes, Mr. Burrow, I will.
Thank you very, very much. I knew Jack would be interested to learn that Mr. Paley had phoned, so I went around to see him. But Rochester said Jack had gone out with his violin to play at a gypsy wedding. So I dropped over again the next morning. Hello, Jack.
Oh, Uncle Milty. Come on in.
Jack, last night I got a call from Mr. Paley's secretary. It was about you.
Mr. Paley's secretary? About me? What'd you say? Is he mad at me? Is he mad?
No, Jack, no. No, Jack, take it easy. He isn't mad. Your radio show wasn't even mentioned.
Oh, good.
Take it, Jack, calm down, will you? Take it easy. Jack, what's the trouble? Why are you so nervous? You've been in the business for 20 years.
That's why I'm nervous. Tell me, Milton, what did Mr. Paley want? What did he want? I mean, what did he want? Come on, tell me. What did he want?
Well, if you stop asking me, I tell you. Now, just a minute, I'll be able to speak to you. Look, Jack, Mr. Paley wants to give you a present for your 20th anniversary on radio, and he wanted to know what I thought you would like. Naturally, I said cash.
Milton, you didn't. Cash. What must he think of me? A man like Mr. Paley. I'll take his check anytime. So what happened?
till I tell him. Well, I'll tell you what happened, Jack. When his secretary, when I spoke to her, she seemed to feel that money was too cold.
Well, who cares about he?
Jack, I already used that joke.
Oh.
Now, who's stealing from who?
That's whom.
I'm sorry.
Say, Milton, not to change the subject, but when I'm in New York, I'll have a few free evenings, and I don't mind working. So if you should happen to hear of any weddings or anything, keep me in mind.
All right, Jack. Well, I got to run along now.
Okay. Say, if you get a chance to remind Mr. Paley about, you know what, tell him it would be very acceptable.
Yes, all right. See you in New York, Jack.
Yeah. So long, Milton.
So long, sport.
See, that was a good-looking suit Milton had on. Wonder if he's got as much money as I have. Nah. Well, I might as well get packed. When I hear about a gift from Mr. Paley, I get ideas. Wonder how much he would give me. No, that'd be too much. On the hand, you never can tell, you know. After all, what's $20 to a man like Mr. Paley? Da-da-da-dum, da-dee-da-dum, da-da-da-dee-dum. It might be 30 or even 40. Da-dee. Just a minute. Oh, hello, Dollface.
Hello, Jack. I'm all finished packing, Jack, and I thought I'd drop in and give you a hand.
Gee, thanks, Mary. Come on in. I was just getting my things together. Well, here's all the stuff.
Gee, what an old satchel.
Well, it's a very expensive bag. It was a gift.
That figures.
That figures.
I'm sorry.
Now, you come over here to help me or heckle me?
Oh, I'm sorry. Here, I'll pack this bag for you. Bathrobes, slippers, socks, handkerchiefs, bath.
See, I forgot to tell you, before you came in, Milton Berle was here, and guess what? Mr. Paley is getting me a present for my 20th anniversary. Isn't that nice?
Yes, and I'm glad you reminded me, Jack. Are you taking the airline's limousine out to the airport?
No, a friend of mine is going to drive me out there. Why should I ride in their limousine and sit with a lot of strangers? Well, I better pack my personal things. Hand me that, Mary.
Which one? The one with the curls or the one with the bangs?
Both of them, and throw in the gray one, too. It'll probably be snowing in New York.
You better put a leash on. It might be windy, too.
Very funny, Mary. There's the door now. Busy. I should have waited until I left town before I gave Rochester his day off.
Oh, I'll get it, Jack.
Let's see, have I forgotten anything? Mouthwash, shoe polish, Cetus powders, vitamin pills, and pablum. And there's my bank book. Gee, the last page is almost all filled up. Da-dum, da-dum, da-dee-da-dee, da-dee-da-dee-dum. I'll need a new one.
Jack, that was the fellow outside with the meat truck.
Oh, that's Murray, my butcher. What did he say?
Well, he has to make a few deliveries, but he'll be back in a half hour to take you to the airport.
Good.
And the back of the truck is crowded, so you'll have to ride 3 in the front seat.
Is there another passenger?
No, it's a side of beef.
I don't care, as long as I don't have to sit in the middle, you know. Da-dum-ba-bum, ba-dee-da-dum, da-dee-da-da.
Are you going to call Mr. and Mrs. Ronald Coleman?
If I have time, I'll call him from the airport.
Oh, okay.
Da-dum-ba-bum, ba-dee-da-dum, da-dee-da-dum.
Hello, I have a call from Mr. or Mrs. Ronald Coleman. Well, this is Mrs. Coleman.
This is collect from Mr. Jack Benny. Will you accept the charges?
Oh, long distance?
No, it's a local call.
Oh. Well, all right. Wait a minute. I didn't think you could make a local call collect.
Neither did I, but he talked me into it.
Well, put him on. Hello?
Hello, Benita? Oh, Benita, this is Jack Benny. I'm at the airport. The reason I reversed the charges is that I didn't have any change.
How'd you get the operator?
Somebody was here before me, and I caught the receiver in midair.
Well, why are you calling, Jack? Is anything the matter?
No, I just want you to do me a favor. You see, I'm leaving for New York, and I wondered, while I'm gone, if you and Ronnie would take care of my parrot. See, I hate to leave Polly in a strange pet shop.
Well, I don't know. Jack, would you hold the wire?
Certainly, it's your money. I mean, as long as you wish, of course.
Oh, Ronnie?
What is it, Benita?
I have something to tell you. Have you finished shaving?
Finished shaving? What difference does that make?
Well, I don't want to tell you while you still have the razor in your hand.
Oh, it's all right. I've quite finished. What is it?
Jack Benny's on the phone. Ronnie, why did you break the mirror?
Well, as long as we're having bad luck, let's have a reason. What does Mr. Benny want now?
Well, he's going to New York.
Good.
And he wants us to take care of his parrot while he's gone.
His parrot? Benita, do you think I could stand having his parrot around for the next 2 weeks singing When You Say I Beg Your Pardon and I'll Come Back to You? What? I'll talk to Benny.
Now, darling, now don't get yourself all upset.
Hello.
Yes, Benita?
This is Ronnie.
Oh, hello, Ronnie. Look, I'm going to New York because the Friars Club is giving me a testimonial dinner.
Jack, Benita told me what you wanted, and it's out of the question. We cannot take care of your parrot.
You can't?
No. And frankly, I think a request like that is an imposition on your part.
Well...
You mean? That's definite, Jack, and I see no reason to discuss it further.
Well, all right, Ronnie. That's the way you feel about it? Goodbye.
Goodbye.
What did he say, Ronnie?
Well, for once, my dear, I did the talking. I told him we wouldn't take care of his parrot, and that's all there was to it.
What's Jack going to New York for?
The Friars are giving him a dinner.
But why?
Well, they've given dinners for everybody. I suppose they've simply run out of people.
I read something about it. It's his 20th anniversary on the radio.
Say, Benita, do you think we'll have to buy him a gift?
Oh, I suppose so. He's already taken out ads in the trade papers thanking us for it.
He's a sly one. He does the same thing at Christmas. Well, if we have to give him something, we'll just... I'll take it, darling. Hello?
Hello, Ronnie. This is Jack again.
Yes?
Ronnie, the reason I called back is that I've been thinking that perhaps I was too harsh with you a few minutes ago, especially when I hung up.
Oh, on the contrary, Jack, it was I who was harsh with you.
Oh, that's just like you, Ronnie, trying to take the blame. But this time I won't let you.
Oh, but I want the blame.
No, Ronnie, our friendship means too much to both of us. Now, let's not allow a silly quarrel to come between us. And, Ronnie, you don't have to take care of my parrot. Just leave her in my house alone. No one to take care of her. No one to feed her. No one to cover her up at night. No one to change her water every day. No one to talk to her. No one to even care if she wants a cracker. Just leave her there, Ronnie. Goodbye.
Ronnie, you're crying. Who is that you were talking to?
Bessie Davis. Excuse me, Benita. I'm going over and get Jack's parrot.
Gee, it's good to be back in New York again, walking down Broadway, the Great White Way. There's Judy Garland at the Palace, Jane Wyman in the Blue Veil, Phil Silvers at the Winter Garden, Bert Lahr at
Jack! Oh, Jack!
What? Why, Ethel Merman.
Get in town?
A few days ago. Oh, say, Ethel, you know about the dinner the Friars are giving me for my 20th anniversary on the radio?
Yes, I heard about it, and I'd love to go, but I don't think I can make it.
But why? You don't have to bring an expensive gift, you know? I mean, I'd appreciate almost anything.
It isn't that, Jack, but I'm going to be busy.
Ethel, let me tell you something. There'll be a lot of important booking agents and producers at the dinner, and who knows? If you got up and sang a few numbers, you might get yourself a job.
A job? But, Jack,
There are no buts. You're still a young woman, Ethel, and you should be working. You know, if you make good on a club date, you might land a part in a show.
Jack, I'm trying to tell you that I'm in a show.
I mean on Broadway.
It is on Broadway. Call me Madam. It's in its second year.
It is?
Jack, what's the last show you saw?
Peg O' My Heart. It was great. I'll never forget that scene when she came home with the baby in her arms and her father put her out of the house. They don't write shows like that anymore.
Jack, why don't you do a play on Broadway?
Oh, there's nothing I can do.
That's right.
Wait a minute. Don't give up so easily. Okay, what kind of a play could I do, Ethel?
Oh, I can see you doing something by Shakespeare. Hamlet, King Lear, Richard III, Romeo and Juliet.
Romeo and Juliet? But Ethel, Laurence Olivier did such a wonderful job as Romeo.
I was thinking of the other part.
That always happens to me when I wear the curly one. Try to get to my dinner, will you, Ethel?
I will, Jack. It'll be wonderful.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is a genuine pleasure to welcome all of you to this historic night for show business, the Friars' testimonial dinner to one of his most distinguished sons, Jack Benny, on the occasion of his 20th anniversary in radio. Gathered here are important personages from every part of American life and more stars than there are in the heavens. I can think of no more appropriate way to get these exciting proceedings underway than to have one of Broadway's great performers sing the theme song Irving Berlin wrote for our profession, There's No Business Like Show Business. Ladies and gentlemen, Ethel Merman.
Business like show business, like no business I know. Everything about it is appealing. Everything the traffic's along. Nowhere can you get that happy feeling when you are feeling that extra ball. There's no people like show people. They smile when they are lost. Yesterday they told you you would not go far. That night you open, and there you are. Next day on your dressing room they are the star. Let's go on with our show. The costumes, the scenery, the makeup, the props, the audience that lifts you when you're down. The headaches, the heartaches, the backaches, the flops. The sheriff who will start you out of town. The opening when your heart beats like a drum. The closing when the customers don't come. There's no business like show business, like no business I know. You get word before the show has started. That's your favorite Uncle died at dawn. And top of that, your time
you, Ethel Merman. That was really magnificent. And now, as abbot of the Friars, I'm very honored to introduce our next speaker, Mr. William S. Paley.
Thank you, Mr. Burrell, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Gee, he speaks well, doesn't he? I wonder what kind of a present he's going to give me. Quiet, Jack, quiet, please.
When a man reaches a stage in his career where his friends and associates set aside an occasion to honor his achievements, then indeed that man may consider himself a success.
Hey, Melody, did Mr. Paley mention what he was going to give me?
No, and be quiet, will you?
Jack Benny is a success, not only because of his inherent talent, but because of his diligence, perseverance, his loyalty, and his unquestioned perspicacity.
Uncle Millie, what's perspicacity?
I don't know. Nobody ever called me that, and I've been a very big hit.
I wonder what he's going to get to my present.
Well, now, please, be patient, will you, Jack? Don't get nervous.
In my capacity as his employer, I have been in a position to observe his great qualities, and I am proud of my association with this fine and generous humanitarian.
Who's he talking about now?
It's still me. Why doesn't he get to my present?
Why don't you shut up?
All right.
On an occasion such as this, it is customary to present the guest of honor with a gift.
Here it comes, Milton. Here it comes.
Jack, get down off the table.
Look, Mr. Paley's putting his hand in his pocket. Da-da-da-dum, da-da-da-dum.
Jack, for heaven's sake, stop it. Mr. Paley is looking at you.
Will Mr. Jack Benny please rise?
Get up. I can't. My knees are shaking. Help me, Milton. Huh?
Here, hold on to my arm. There you are.
Jack Benny, on behalf of the Columbia Broadcasting System, as a token of our friendship and affection, I take great pleasure in presenting you with this beautiful scroll. Jack! What's the matter with him, Milton?
He fainted. Let's go on with the dinner.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've had our little fun at Jack's expense, but speaking seriously, we at CBS love Jack Benny, and I know that our listeners would want to join with me in thanking him from our hearts for the pleasure and wonderful entertainment he has given us since he started on the air. Also, we hope that he will continue on the air at least until he's 59, another 20 years. Jack has always lived up to the fine, unselfish tradition of show business. And again, he has been among the first to give of his time and talent for worthwhile causes. During the past summer, Jack went to Korea to perform for our troops who were so badly in need of entertainment. There he made friends of both GIs and generals. May we take you now to Korea, where you will hear the voice of the commanding general of the 8th Army, General James Van Fleet.
As Commanding General of the 8th Army, I am very happy to have this formal opportunity of expressing my appreciation to Mr. Jack Benny and his entire troop of performers for their fine work among my troops in Korea. A good soldier is a soldier who can relax at the proper time and enjoy himself. Mr. Benny and his associates afforded my command that opportunity for relaxation. Speaking for them, Jack, I know their morale was enhanced considerably by your recent visit. It's my belief that you are an American tradition in the entertainment world. In Korea, for my men, it was like seeing and meeting an old friend. because for these many years you have been coming into our American homes as our welcome guests. Thanks, Jack, for coming over. 8th Army wishes you continued years of success.
Now here's Jack Benny. Ladies and gentlemen, this was really a thrill for me, and I want to thank my friends in and out of show business for making this one of the greatest.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dennis Day.
Dwells in your arms, and the spell of your smile.
Dennis Day is brought to you by Colgate Dental Cream and Luster Cream Shampoo. Colgate Dental Cream to clean your breath while you clean your teeth. Luster Cream, the cream shampoo for true hair loveliness. The Dennis Day Show with Barbara Eiler, B. Benaderet, Dink Trout, John Brown, Charles Dant in the orchestra, and yours truly, Vern Smith, is written by Frank Galen and stars our popular young singer in A Day in the Life of Dennis Day. In answer to many of your requests, here's Dennis singing his RCA Victor recording of Yeah, Sure, You Betcha.
Hilda, oh Hilda, I've an think you're grand. Will ya, oh will ya, let me hold your hand? If I should ask you, do you love me too? Say yeah, sure, you betcha, I've an think I do. In Wisconsin, Ollie Johnson fell in love with a sweet Swedish Miss Hilda Swanson. He wooed her, he pursued her. All Wisconsin heard Johnson sing Swanson the song. Oh Hilda, I ban think you're grand. Will ya, oh will ya, let me hold your hand? If I should ask you, do you love me too? Say yeah, sure, you betcha, hey Ben, think I do. Oh I do, yes I do. By golly, by Yemeni, I do. If I should ask you, do you love me too? Say yeah, sure, you betcha, I then think I do. Oh Hilda, let this Swedish boy thrill ya until ya are yumpin' with joy. There at the preacher, when he says, will you? Say yeah, sure, you betcha, I then think I do. Oh, I do. Yes, I do. By golly, by Yemeni, I do. There at the preacher's, when he says, will you? Say, yeah, sure, you betcha, I ben think I do. By golly, by Yemeni, I ben think I do.
A very special tip on hair appeal, girls, from famous beauty authority Kay Dumas. Lovely hair, shining with natural highlights and shadows, sparkling with silken softness, inviting with clean fragrance. That's the natural hair appeal that men prefer. And now such natural hair appeal can be yours with one touch of magic, Luster Cream Shampoo. Not a soap, not a liquid. Luster Cream Shampoo is an amazing new dainty cream that whips up like magic in hard or soft water into a mild, gentle lather that sweeps dullness away. Out of her wealth of cosmetic lore, Kay Dumas blended gentle lanolin with special secret ingredients to achieve this delightful new cream that leaves your hair so easy to manage, so soft and shining with the natural appeal that men love. Ask for the economical dollar jar of Luster Cream Shampoo at your cosmetic counter. Also 30-cent and 55-cent sizes. Discover the secret that women and girls of all ages are learning everywhere. There's a world of glamour in each dainty jar of Luster Cream, the cream shampoo for true hair loveliness.
Well, there's quite a stir at the Anderson boarding house in Weaverville this morning. We find our young hero, Dennis Day, in the dining room, helping to open several packages which have just arrived. For, strangely and excitingly enough, they're addressed to the more fragile half of the Anderson family.
Gee, Mr. Anderson, that's for you?
Yes, my dear little Poopsie girl picked it out for me herself. You like it, Dennis?
Oh, yes, sir. It's one of the prettiest aprons I've ever seen.
I think so, too. Notice how that blue ribbon just matches my eyes?
Oh, yes, sir. Shall we open the other packages now?
No need to. It's just the rest of my fall outfit. Mops, scrubbing brushes, and dust caps.
Gee, it sure is nice of Mrs. Anderson to let you have a whole new wardrobe.
Yes, well, you see, Poopsie won't be spending much time around the house during the day anymore. So she's taking me off of part-time and putting me on full-time.
Well, gosh, congratulations, Mr. Anderson. You sure have earned it. But why won't Mrs. Anderson be here during the day anymore?
What, didn't you know? She's going into business. She has an appointment with Homer Willoughby this morning.
Your wife is going into business with my boss? Holy smoke, another access to Führer and Il Duce.
Poopsie isn't going into business with him, Dennis.
Oh, well, gee, she isn't trying to get a job at the store, is she?
Oh, no.
Oh, that's good, because our policy is the customer is always right, and if she was a clerk, who'd dare?
Your customers are perfectly safe, Dennis. Poopsie's going into business for herself.
For herself? Then what's Mr. Willoughby?
Good morning.
Oh, good morning, Mrs. Anderson.
Good morning, cuddle baby.
Mrs. Anderson, your husband was just telling me about you going into business and that my boss was involved in some way.
That's right. Haven't you heard about Mr. Willoughby taking over a dress shop?
Why, no, ma'am. I didn't know he had any interest in dresses at all. At least not vacant ones.
Well, he has. He was forced to foreclose a mortgage and take over the shop, and I'm going to buy it from him.
That is, if Mr. Gordon of that Fifi dress shop chain doesn't put in a higher bid.
Well, that's what this morning's meeting is for, to decide which one of us Mr. Willoughby will sell it to.
Gosh, I sure hope you get it, Mrs. Anderson.
Oh, so do I. They have such stunning things. This man-tailored suit I'm wearing is one of their creations. Isn't it gorgeous?
Oh, yes, ma'am. It makes you look very virile.
What?
Well, what I mean is, it brings out your real personality.
It does, eh?
Yes, ma'am. Of course, it hides you, but it brings out your... Could I have a moment to clarify my thinking on this?
Never mind. Come along if you want to drive down to Willoughby's with me. I don't want to be late.
Yes, ma'am. And thank you for dropping the subject instead of me. Mrs. Anderson, are you sure you want to go into this business?
Of course.
But isn't a woman's place in the home?
Herbert will do there very nicely.
Yeah, I guess so. Would you like me to talk to Mr. Willoughby? Use my influence on him?
Dennis, will you stop thinking up ways to get me out of this deal?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to make this shop a big success. I might even get Mrs. Hannah Cabot II to wear one of my gowns. And wouldn't that be something?
Boy, I'll say. Who's she?
Just one of the 10 best-dressed women in America, that's all. And she's here in town right now to be the guest of honor at the country club dance.
Oh.
And, of course, it's very important to the success of a gown to be seen on just the right person.
Yes, ma'am. Is that why you bought a suit?
What?
I spoke without thinking it out far enough.
Well, be more careful in the future. Oh, this is the street, isn't it? Yes, and I believe there's a parking space right in front of Willoughby's store.
It's kind of narrow.
Dennis, I know how to park.
Well, Wait, Mrs. Anderson, you shouldn't drive in front with you got a back in. Perhaps I should take the wheel.
Please, I know. Now look what you've done.
Me?
Yes, talking to me while I was parking. Your big mouth was open wider than the space I was trying to get in. His fender's dented, isn't it?
I don't know. I can't see it.
Why not?
It's on the roof of our car. Oh, my gosh, look. Here comes a policeman.
A policeman? Dennis, you were right. You may take the wheel.
Huh?
You heard me. Slide over and I'll sit where you are and hurry.
Yes, ma'am.
All right now. Faith, and let's see the droopers who's to blame for this.
What? How dare you, officer? Can't you see how that other car is parked? Or are you too dim-witted?
No, don't be after handing me that, lady. Trying to put the blame on some poor innocent driver who wasn't even in his car. I saw this car smash into it with my own eyes.
Now, see here.
Now, Colleen, me darling, what this fine broth of a lad saw, he saw. And divil a bit will get him to change his mind at all, my cushler storm of me.
Well, now, do you know, it's just possible that my eyes have deceived me. What's your name, lad?
Dennis O'Day, your worship, and may it please your honour.
Dennis O'Day. That wouldn't perchance be Irish, would it now, lad?
Sure, and it wouldn't be Czechoslovakian, your grace.
Not from the north of Ireland, I hope.
Faith, and not a bit of it, you all.
That's fine now. Well, it's easy to see what happened here. You were driving along, minding your own business, when all of a sudden this parked car smashed into you.
And without a word of warning, too. Will you look at the way he's parked, and not 2 blocks from a fire hydrant?
Sure, and he's a menace to safe drivers.
Indeed, and that's just what he is. Look at his car. Not even a tail light on it.
And you, on the other hand, even have an extra one on your front fender.
Oh, that I have. I'm a cautious darling, I am.
Oh, he is a darling, isn't he, officer? We all love him so.
Don't blame you for that, ma'am. And when I see the rascal who owns this other car, it's a ticket I'll be handing him straight off.
Good lad. He's a threat to human lives. He ought to be locked up. He's a... Ooh, what I see coming.
What's going on here? Hey, what happened to my car?
Well, Mr. Willoughby...
So you're the owner of this car, eh? Well, there's a nice ticket waiting for you, my man.
What?
Dennis, my dress shop. You can't let this happen.
No. You see, officer, there's been a mistake. The accident was all my fault, honest. Besides, I'm a Lithuanian.
Come now, my lad. It's nice of you to take the blame. But look at this fella's car, parked 3 feet out from the curb.
But Mr. Willoughby didn't mean to do it. He'd probably been drinking again and didn't know what he was doing.
Drinking? Now, see here.
Don't you know it's against the law to drive a car while drunk?
Sure, but you can't hold Mr. Willoughby for that. That law was passed long after his license expired.
Huh? Why, this boy is crazy, obviously.
He doesn't know what he's talking about.
No, eh? Well, drunk driving and no license is good enough for me. Come on, Willoughby. You're telling it to a judge.
No, wait.
Yes, wait.
Yeah, for heaven's sake, wait.
Come on, Willoughby. Start moving. And many thanks to you, lad. The top of the morning to you.
The top of the morning? Oh, I just fell to the bottom.
Oh, no, Dennis.
Yeah, it was just awful, Mildred. That's why I phoned you to come right down to the store. I'm almost positive I lost popularity with your mother.
Say, wait a minute. Mr. Willoughby being in jail is the answer to our whole problem.
Huh? Say it again. I may have missed a key word somewhere.
Look, who's Mother's rival for this shop? Mr. Gordon, the out-of-towner who owns that big dress chain. This is your chance to get rid of him and leave the field clear for Mother.
Get rid of him?
Sure, scare him off some way. He's due here for the meeting and... Oh, my gosh. Look, that must be Mr. Gordon crossing the street right now.
Well, yeah, quick, get out of sight. I'll think of something.
Okay.
How do you do, sir?
Hello, Mr. Willoughby in. I'm Mademoiselle Fifi.
Oh, I beg your pardon, miss. I thought you were Mr. Gordon.
I am Mr. Gordon. Mademoiselle Fifi is just a name I use, a trade name.
Oh, gee, you sure got the worst of the trade, huh?
Look, I'm a busy man. Is Mr. Willoughby in or isn't he in?
Yes, sir, he's in, and that's why he's not here. He won't be in till he's out.
What is this gibberish? I have an appointment to see Mr. Willoughby about buying that dress shop of his.
Gee, you're going to invest money here in Weaverville?
I am.
Boy, what a devil-may-care attitude.
What are you talking about? I've always heard that Weaverville is an up-and-coming town.
Well, it used to be up-and-coming, but all of a sudden it got down and went. I know, I live here.
You mean there's no business in town at all?
Last week this store didn't do 5 cents worth. Then this week it fell off a little.
But why can't you stimulate business? Did you ever try a 1-cent sale?
Oh, lots of them. Never sold a single penny.
Why, this is fantastic.
Yeah.
But how does Mr. Willoughby manage to run 2 stores and keep up a beautiful home?
Well, of course, if a fellow doesn't care how he gets his money...
What do you mean?
I'd rather not say, unless you press me.
But I do press you.
Attaboy.
You mean to tell me Willoughby makes his money by underhanded methods?
Well...
Because if he does, I'll withdraw my offer for his dress shop immediately.
You mean that?
I do.
Lean forward, pal, and put your ear in my mouth.
Well, go on.
What would you say about a man who swindled $100,000 out of widows and orphans?
What? You mean Willoughby?
No, I didn't say he did. I just asked you what you think of it.
I think it's horrible. And I'm going to talk to Willoughby about it, too. Where is he?
They took him to jail this morning.
Jail? What for?
Haven't you been paying attention?
Huh? Oh. They caught up with his swindling operations.
That's better. For a minute, you had me worried.
What will they do with him?
Willoughby? Oh, with his connections, he'll get off.
He will?
Sure. They can't make a rap stick against him. Why, it wouldn't surprise me if any minute... Well, speak of the devil.
So, there you are. Oh, why, Mr. Gordon. Thank heavens I got back in time to see you.
Willoughby, is it true they took you to jail this morning?
Why, yes. But how did you know?
Never mind. And you beat the rap, eh?
Oh, sure. It was just a minor offense.
A minor offense? You call that a minor offense?
Well, of course. Well, I'll bet you've done worse than that yourself many times.
Oh, I have I? Willoughby, I'm withdrawing my bid for your shop. I want nothing more to do with you. Good day, sir.
But, Mr. Gordon... Dennis Day.
Gee, I'm beginning to hate that name.
Somehow I've got a sneaking suspicion that you had something to do with this.
Me, sir?
Yes, you, sir. First you had me clapped into jail on a ridiculous traffic charge. And now I return to find this. Do you think there's no limit to my patience?
I don't know, but that's the way I'm praying.
Very well. I'm going to teach you and that Mrs. Anderson a lesson. I hereby accept her bid for my dress shop.
Accepted? Oh, Mr. Willoughby!
Dennis, stop that silly kissing. I just had these shoes shine.
But, Mr. Willoughby, I'm so grateful.
Oh, you are, huh? Grateful, huh? Ha, ha, ha.
Mr. Willoughby, that isn't a good, wholesome chuckle.
Oh, no? It might interest you to know that your Mrs. Anderson is stuck with a whole store full of brand new, latest style, long-length dresses.
That's bad?
In Weaverville, it's murder. Why, there isn't a woman in town who'd touch one of those dresses on a bet. That's why the last owner went broke.
Oh, my gosh, I'm having a normal day again.
I didn't want to sell to anybody in town. I was content to stick that chain store man. But now, well, just tell Mrs. Anderson, happy bankruptcy.
But, Mr. Willoughby...
Tut, my boy. Those are my final words.
Yeah, and when I repeat them to Mrs. Anderson, I guess they'll be mine, too.
Oh, Dennis, you can't mean it. A whole store full of long dresses?
Every last one of them, Mildred.
Oh, my gosh. Well, what did Mother say when you told her?
She looked at me like she was seeing a ghost. I think it gave her an idea, too.
Golly, long dresses wouldn't be so bad if the women here were... Dennis, I think I have it.
Gee, it's marvelous. Every time we're in a little trouble, you come up with an idea that leads to suicide.
But this is foolproof, Dennis. Listen, have you ever heard of Mrs. Hannah Cabot II?
Oh, yeah, your mother mentioned her.
Do you know what would happen to Mother's business overnight if one of the 10 best-dressed women in America wore an Anderson gown to that country club dance?
Why would a woman like that wear a dress from a small-town shop?
Because a famous Parisian style authority is going to tell her they're the finest gowns ever designed. Do you know who?
Who?
You.
Who?
Oh, you can do it, Dennis. You do a marvelous French impersonation. And you can take one of the dresses along with you. Mother's got several of them here.
But, Mildred...
Oh, Mother, Dennis and I have the most marvelous idea.
Mildred, stop using vile language.
Vile language?
You said Dennis.
But, Mother, this idea...
I don't care to hear it. Your father and I are going to the shop and get busy protecting our investment. Come along, Herbert.
Lead the way, flame of desire.
Dennis, you have to get to work on Mrs. Cabot this very minute.
Oh, Mildred, these things always lead to such grief. Isn't there some other way?
Dennis, for heaven's sakes, don't tell me you're afraid to call on her.
All right, I won't. But believe me, I'm not shaking from courage.
Yes?
Bon voyage, monsieur.
Bon what?
You speak French?
Why, yes, of course.
How do you do?
Well, how do you do?
Permit me, I should introduce myself. I am Vladimir Dekovich, greatest dress designer in all Moscow, which is a city in Russia and explains my accent.
Oh, I see. Well, of course, Russia has had some of the best dressed women of all time. Catherine the Great, the Grand Duchess Tatiana Romanova.
Oh, da, and I designed all their clothes.
What? But they've been dead for hundreds of years.
I did not say they look well in them, madame.
You're an awfully odd little man, aren't you? Just what is it you want of me?
Madame, I have here the most beautiful gown ever designed. It is from a little dress shop right here in town. I want you should wear it from the country club dance.
Oh, well, I'm sorry, but I've already chosen my gown from Saks.
Oh, madame, my gown is more beautiful than any sack you have ever seen.
My dear friend, I was referring to Saks Fifth Avenue.
But a sack is a sack no matter what street you pick it up.
Are you quite sure you're a Russian style authority, young man?
Oh, Ninochka, madame.
Oh, you never saw Russia in your life, and you know it.
Silly girl.
Now, you stop this nonsense right here and now. Come, man. What is your game?
Well, I guess I might as well tell you the truth. I'm not Russian at all.
No.
Well, I had to try this, Mrs. Cabot. I was desperate.
Oh?
Yes, ma'am. It's my girlfriend's mother. She's got a terrible problem.
I quite agree.
No, you see, she was tricked into buying a dress shop, and if it isn't a success, she'll lose all her money. So
you thought if I wore one of her creations, other women would follow my lead?
Yes, ma'am. You're one of the 10 women in America who are dressed or something. Won't you do it, Mrs. Cabot? I need you badly.
Well, I was a Girl Scout once, darn it.
Mrs. Cabot, then you will?
These dresses of yours, short skirts, I suppose.
Oh, no, ma'am. Long. The very latest.
Well, I'm surprised. And what about necklines?
Oh, they have them, too.
Yes, no doubt. I mean, are they high or low?
Oh, all kinds. You've got your choice from turtleneck to you'll be in Life magazine, but you could also be arrested.
You're quite refreshing in a jarring sort of way.
Thank you. But will you really wear my gown, Mrs. Cabot?
Oh, very well, young man. Leave it here and I'll wear it to the dance. What's more, I shall even phone the newspapers and tell them I'm doing so.
Oh, Mrs. Cabot, I just don't know what to say. Gee, I hope the alarm doesn't go off. This is the pleasantest dream I ever had.
Mother would hurry, Dennis. The newspaper just came out, and I've already had 7 calls for fittings. Oh, Dennis, you're just marvelous.
Ah, shucks. What if I am? Gee whiz.
Oh, I'm so proud of you. When Mother hears about this, she'll just scream with joy. Mother, at last.
Hello, Mrs. Anderson. You may kiss me if you like.
Kiss you?
Yes, ma'am. On the hand or on the face, wherever you find me the more desirable.
What are you talking about?
Mother, haven't you heard? Dennis got Mrs. Cabot to wear one of your long dresses to the dance tomorrow night.
You fool. This is a scream of joy?
Mother, don't you understand? Every woman in town will want one of your long dresses.
It's you who don't understand. Herbert and I have just spent the entire night cutting 7 inches off every dress in our shop.
Oh, no, Mother.
Yes.
Boy, I sure hope there's nothing to this theory of reincarnation. I'd hate to have to go through a life like this again.
Dennis Day will be back in just a moment with a song. But first, here's a fact worth knowing. Colgate Dental Cream cleans your breath while it cleans your teeth. And that's important, as our Colgate players demonstrate. Seen a hotel switchboard where 2 pretty telephone operators are talking.
What a nerve he has, thinking I'd go out on a date with a guy like him.
You mean that good-looking blonde boy? Gee, Mabel, he looked all right to me.
I got no complaints on the fella's look. But I'm telling you, Gertrude.
Imagine. Gee, you'd think one of his pals would tip him off to see his dentist, wouldn't you?
Well, one of his pals finally did, and here's what that fellow found out. Scientific tests prove that in 7 out of 10 cases, Colgate Dental Cream instantly stops unpleasing breath that originates in the mouth. And Colgate's safe polishing agent brings out the natural sparkle of your teeth, cleans them thoroughly and safely. Yes, Colgate Dental Cream cleans your breath while it cleans your teeth. And Colgate Dental Cream is famous for its wonderful wake-up flavor, too. Nationwide tests of leading toothpaste prove that Colgate's is preferred for flavor over other brands tested. So, to clean your teeth thoroughly and safely, for a wake-up flavor everyone enjoys, use Colgate Dental Cream. Remember, Colgate Dental Cream cleans your breath while it cleans your teeth. With Charles Dand in the orchestra, here's Dennis to sing the #1 ballad of the day, I Wish I Didn't Love You So.
I wish I didn't love you so. My love for you should have faded long ago.
Remember, doctors prove the Palmolive plan brings 2 out of 3 women lovelier complexions in 14 days.
And this beauty plan with Palmolive soap was tested on women with all types of skin. Dry, oily, even skin that was not clear. Yes, 36 doctors proved the 14-day Palmolive plan improves all types of skin, brings fresher, brighter, younger-looking complexions. So get Palmolive soap and start your 14-day Palmolive plan now.
This is NBC, the national broadcasting company.
The Halls of Ivy, starring Mr. and Mrs. Ronald Colman.
Good evening, this is Ronald Colman.
And Benita Colman.
Inviting you to join us again on the campus of Ivy College.
And now, the Halls of Ivy.
That surround us here today.
Welcome again to Ivy College, that is, in the town of Ivy, USA. As a highly competent administrator, a fast clearer-upper of disposable details, and a disciple of the clean desk, the president of Ivy College is not one to linger unnecessarily in his administration building sanctum when his work is done, whether it be noon, 3 o'clock, or midnight. It's now 2:30 in the afternoon, and he's signing the last letter of the day's correspondence with his faithful secretary, Miss Goodson, standing by, blotter in her right hand and the presidential fedora in the other, as he says,
Good heavens, Miss Goodson, why do I dictate such long letters? What's this one about? Before I sign it with blind faith in your efficiency.
It's a review of the year's work of the Student Cooperative Association, Dr. Hall. Suggestions for improvements and a pat on the back for scholastic achievement and their social program.
But it did take me 3 pages to do that.
It took you 5. I cut it to 3.
Oh. And you didn't consider it presumptuous to take such liberties with my personal correspondence?
With your blind faith in my efficiency and my pride in your reputation as someone who gets to the point of things, no, sir.
Thank you for keeping my reputation unsullied. As one who takes 5 pages to write a 3-page letter, I am lucky to have you on my side. Is this the last one?
Yes, sir. Except the one you wrote to the music editor of the Ivy Courier. I didn't transcribe that one.
Oh, why?
Because after you'd read it over, you wouldn't have sent it. His criticism of the Glee Club concert was unfair, but your reply was hasty and unworthy of you.
Yes, we presidents don't seem to learn, do we, about sending letters to music critics. Well, thank you again, Miss Goodson. You are indispensable.
No one is indispensable, Dr. Hall, but a good secretary finds it indispensable to give the illusion of it.
That's a very acute observation. Did you learn that in secretarial school?
I learned it from you the first week I worked for you. Now, if you'll sign this letter, Dr. Hall.
Uh-huh.
Thank you. Your theater tickets for Friday evening are in your overcoat pocket. Your railroad reservations to the state capitol on Saturday will be confirmed in the morning, and one of the buttons on your left sleeve is a little loose.
What is the temperature outside, and who won the World Series in 1934?
44 degrees, and the St. Louis Cardinals. Will that be all, sir?
You mean for the Cardinals?
No, sir. For me, for you, for today.
Yes, that's all, Miss Goodson. Please phone Mrs. Hall, will you? And tell her I'm on my way home and to have a smile burning in the window for me. Thank you. Good afternoon.
I'm so glad you got away early, darling. And I did have a smile burning in the window for you.
You mean Miss Goodson gave you my message literally and verbatim?
Absolutely deadpan.
Her pan may sometimes appear to be defunct, my love, but it is my good fortune that her mental pallbearers will be unemployed for some time. It is due to her speed and competence that I so often manage to get home early.
And for that I love her dearly.
Yes, I see no reason for staying in my office arranging paper clips into mobiles when the real work of the day has been completed. Have there been any phone calls?
Only some woman who was very indignant because she had 2 heads.
Because what?
Because she had two heads. She was trying to get the grocery and got this number by mistake, and she'd ordered one head of lettuce, and they'd sent her two.
There are times when I'm tempted to ask for an unlisted number, but in my position it'd be like the fire department making a similar request. My availability is one of the...
You'd better answer it, Toddy. You have a knack for coping with two-headed people.
No, it's not a knack, my love. It's a proficiency acquired only after years of application and research. The manipulation of bicephalic individuals will have to be discussed at another time. Dr. Hall speaking. Who? Oh, yes. How are you, Professor Rubin? I'm happy to hear from you. Oh, why, yes, just a moment, please. He wants to talk to you, Vicky.
Really? Hello, Professor Rubin. Yeah, well, of course, I'd be very happy to. Mm-hmm. But tomorrow at 10? Oh, good. I look forward to it. Goodbye.
And what happens tomorrow at 10?
Professor Rubin wants me to help him pick out a birthday present for his wife. It seems he's so nervous in women's shops, he always winds up at the hardware store. Once when I suggested hose for his wife, he said he'd got her 50 feet of it last year.
With an adjustable nozzle, I suppose. Well, Professor Rubin is a gentleman of the old school. A school which had no classes in sales resistance to feminine fripperies. It must be that in these days of jet transportation, the world is so casually girdled that the informality has taken root. And we are the hapless victims of those corset and hosiery ads which smite us hip and thigh.
Well, you're not so bashful, darling. Or how did you happen to buy me those lovely things for Christmas in exactly the right shades and sizes?
For that, my darling, I fortified myself with 5 cups of coffee, gave myself a stern talking to, made out a list, walked firmly out of the house, stopped at the office, and deputized Miss Goodson.
She blushed when you gave her the list.
Oh, no, dear. One of the priceless qualities she possesses is an ability to accept any assignment with cool detachment. I am sure that when she learnt about the birds and bees, it was from an elderly ornithologist in a businesslike apiary. No, my darling, in this case I...
Busy little beaver, isn't it? Hello? Oh, well, hello, Matthew. Yes, he is. It's young Matthew Walden, Toddy, Professor Walden's son.
Oh. Yes, Matthew. Oh, I certainly come right over. Good, I'll be expecting you. I wonder what that means. He said he was phoning from right around the corner. And when a young man who lives at home calls from right around the corner, it could mean that...
The phone at his house is out of order.
Knowing Professor Jeremy Walden, I would say that he wouldn't tolerate anything being out of order in his household. Not because he's a relentless taskmaster, but because he has a sharply functional mind and an extraordinarily high set of standards. He's a very enviable reputation in his field, Vicky.
Whenever the students speak of him, they always seem to lower their voices unconsciously. Is that out of fear or awe?
Or what, dear?
Or awe.
Oh! Well, no. Now, his course in Renaissance literature is one of the best liked and most feared courses that I did.
Yeah, let me see. Now, Matthew must be a sophomore by now, isn't he?
Yes, and a very promising young student.
When I was a child, I deeply envied a little girl whose mother was the teacher of our school. I imagined that it was lots of fun having a direct pipeline to the inside dope. And I'm not referring to the teacher. But now I can see that it must have its own difficulties.
Oh, it does indeed. As Ben Jonson observed, greatness of name and the father often overwhelms the son. They stand too near one another. The shadow kills the growth.
You come right in, won't you?
Thank you, Mrs. Hall.
Dr. Hall's expecting you in the study.
I'm sorry to barge in on you like this.
Oh, not at all, not at all. We haven't seen half enough of you lately.
Well, I'm sorry, Mrs. Hall. I've been working very hard, and I guess I just wasn't I don't know.
Well, don't have a breakdown. It's just an expression of regret. Come along in. Yes, all right.
Ah, Matthew, come in. Delighted to see you.
Thank you, Dr. Hall.
And how is my esteemed colleague, your father?
As a matter of fact, Dr. Hall, it's about my father that I... Or maybe I should say it's about myself that I came to... You see, Father and I'm not making a very good beginning, am I?
Oh, but you are, Matthew. You've already given us a glimpse of the situation, and my husband's like a camera. Give him a glimpse, and he has the picture.
Yes, but it sometimes requires a little extra development.
Well, I wouldn't have come to you unless I'd tried to work this thing out myself, but I just can't, Dr. Hall. You see, I'm a literature major, and I've always planned to work in the same field as my father.
Well, I have a particular interest in that field myself. In my own teaching days, I was set out to pasture there. Let's see now. As a sophomore, you are eligible for your what's in Renaissance literature. Did you register for it, Matt?
Yes, sir. Difficulty. I've worked very hard, Dr. Hall, and believe me, it's not just because Father teaches.
It's not.
I thought I was doing pretty well, but you know how correct and impersonal Father is about work.
Oh, I do indeed.
Well, in trying to be completely fair, Father's been leaning over backwards in his attitude toward me. His standards for me are even higher than for the rest of the class. He's been making it, I just can't tell you how tough. He's going to flunk me, Dr. Hall. He can't help himself.
Well, what do you mean he can't help himself, Matt?
Well, he's put us both on the spot. I've got to be good, but I can't be good enough for him. And if I flunk, well, I'll get over it, but Father won't. I'll either have to change my major or go someplace other than Ivy. It's an awful mess.
And something that would be rather uncomfortable to discuss with your father, eh?
Yes, sir. He'd consider it taking advantage of our relationship on a matter relating to the classroom. And now, Dante is coming up in the course. That's Father's specialty. He knows more about Dante than Dante did. In fact, sometimes he manages to look more like Dante than Dante.
The only likeness of Dante I've seen was a big bust, and your father couldn't qualify for that.
Well, that's the whole story. I feel better now that I've told somebody.
Well, I know you love your father, Matt, and undoubtedly he loves you. And that's where the trouble is. He's afraid he'll put the heart before the course.
Well, now let me give the matter some thought, Matthew. Perhaps I'll be able to suggest a course of action. In the meantime, be patient and keep on working.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, Dr. Hall and Mrs. Hall. Goodbye.
Goodbye, Matt.
Yeah, Matt seems to be in quite a spot. Is his father really that grim?
No, but Professor Walden's a very exacting teacher. He believes in the value of repetition in education, familiarity through reiteration, like water wearing away stones. Little drops of Socrates, little drops of Dante, little drops of Pope.
Drop namer.
But Toddy...
It looks as though Abraham is about to sacrifice Isaac. You'd better get out the burning bush.
Well, I hesitate to intervene in anything so delicately balanced as a relationship between father and son. I'm inclined to agree with Oscar Wilde's observation that children begin by loving their parents. As they grow older, they judge them, and sometimes they forgive them.
The Voice of America is bringing you this presentation of The Halls of Ivy, starring Mr. and Mrs. Ronald Colman.
It's several days later when we return to the Halls of Ivy. Dr. Hall has been in his study a good part of the morning when his wife Victoria brings him the mail.
There you are, Toddy.
Thank you, darling. Anything of interest?
Well, there's a letter from the Ivy Exterior Decorating Company.
Mm-hmm.
They'd like to paint our house with their new non-fading, insect-repellent, vitamin-enriched house paint. Starts out by saying, don't be a shabby neighbor. Shall I read the rest of it?
No, dear. Please don't. No, any letter which starts off with such an insulting premise consigns itself to the file and forget basket. If they don't like our premises, I don't like theirs. Besides, a vitamin-enriched house paint is not good enough in these days of super science.
No, of course it isn't. They don't even have chlorophyll in it.
It's obviously an outmoded product, yes. We must have paint containing chlorophyll, B1 complex, penicillin, sulfur, and assorted antibiotics.
In 6 delicious flavors, too.
Does that constitute the morning's mail?
Well, no, not quite. The Committee on Buildings and Maintenance, headed by Professor Bronson, sends a plaintive little note. It seems that the research laboratory is overcrowded.
It's a perennial complaint.
The students say a degree of BSc means Bronson's sardine can. There's too much sympathy wasted on sardines anyway. Why do they need elbow room? They don't have any elbows.
Well, Vicky, what are we going to do about the Waldens, father and son?
Oh, I don't know. But whatever is done, I suppose will have to be done in such a way that the dignity of both Waldens is preserved.
I can't appeal to Professor Walden because that would put Matthew in the position of a plaintiff. And I can't counsel Matthew to bear it as best he can because that would imply a criticism of his father.
Well, it might not preserve their dignity, but I'd just knock both their heads together. Probably end up by weeping copiously on both their shoulders.
Oh, you're underestimating yourself, Vicky. You'd probably handle the situation beautifully. I shall never forget watching a performance in London of a play in which you briefly appeared. Or perhaps I should say a play which appeared briefly with you in it.
Which play was that, darling?
I remember nothing about it except that there was a horse in the third act, which kept nibbling at your long blonde wig. Without missing a line, you calmly took off the wig and gave it to the horse to eat in comfort.
Yes, I remember that wig. The line down the middle of it was the best part in the play.
And, except for you, the horse was the best actor.
Yeah, well, let's say we were the best actresses, dear. She was a mare.
Horse or mare, I noticed you got a fine round of applause from the stalls.
Oh.
What was the name of the production? Madness at Noon? I never did figure out what that had to do with the play itself.
Oh, well, the title was all that was left of the original after the rewriting was finished.
Oh.
Yeah, they should have left the play and rewritten the title. The critics had such a jolly time with it, madness at noon, stupor at midnight, and they'll hate themselves in the morning, and things like that.
The titles of bad plays have a morbid fascination for critics.
Yeah.
I remember a dreadful piece called This Too Shall Pass Away, to which one critic responded, let it not stand on the odor of its going.
Well, anyway, I knew the play was closing the next day, so it didn't matter. And Walden and Son will close too, Toddy, if you don't do something about them soon.
Unfortunately, if Professor Walden flunks his son, I'm afraid he will feel compelled to justify his action by even greater severity toward his students.
Yeah, and Matthew would never forgive him.
Now, if I could find some way to prove to Professor Walden how intelligent his son really is, and give him an opportunity to commend the boy's work publicly, then perhaps...
I know the signs, Toddy. You're way beyond perhaps. You've hatched a big fat plot.
Well, I had thought of visiting Professor Walden's classroom on some conveniently routine matter, in preparation for which I've been renewing my acquaintance with Dante. I've got to make sure that I make the right mistakes about him. That is, I will try to be wrong in the right way.
Dr. Hall, it's a privilege to have you back in the department again.
Well, thank you, Professor Walden.
I hope you can stay and join our discussion. If the smell of gunpowder has an effect on an old soldier, a former teacher like yourself should respond to the equally dynamic smell of powdered chalk.
Well, I've been studying your notes on the blackboard. They are far more legible than any I ever put up there.
We were discussing Dante and his beloved Beatrice.
Yes, the best known today, I suppose, by their unreasonable facsimiles on calendars and cigar boxes. But I've always been fascinated by the complex relationship of Dante to La Donna Gentile Beatrice. The gentle damsel Beatrice, of course, appears in the Divine Comedy, but it was in the earlier work, La Vita Nuova, that Dante paid such eloquent tribute to his beloved. But, really, I didn't come to give you a lecture on what you already know.
No, please go on, Dr. Hall.
Well, then, Dante was only 26 when he wrote La Vita Nuova. That is, according to his first biographer.
And incidentally, who was Dante's first biographer? Let me see. You, the other Mr. Walden. Matthew, can you tell me?
Yes, sir. Boccaccio.
Correct. Boccaccio. Who, as I'm sure Professor Walden has mentioned in passing, wrote other things besides the Decameron. And now that you are on your feet, Matthew, would you mind if I try another question on you?
All right, sir.
I would like you to identify the sonnet which so lyrically describes the early death of Beatrice.
Sonnet, Dr. Hall?
Yes. The one which contains those simple and eloquent lines. Che fai, non sai novella? Morta è la donna tua, chi era si bella. Dead is your maiden who was so fair. Do you recall it now?
Well, yes, I do, sir, but did you say sonnet?
That's right.
But, Dr. Hall, I'm sure it wasn't a sonnet.
Not a sonnet? Well, if it's not a sonnet, what is it?
It's a canzone, sir.
Canzone? Oh, no, I'm sure it is not a canzone.
Dr. Hall, the lines you quoted were written by Dante before Beatrice died and were inspired by a vision of her death, weren't they?
Yes, that's quite right. They were, in a sonnet.
Well, those lines are in a canzone, Dr. Hall. I'm positive.
You are? Well, now, it's quite very simple. Why don't we appeal to the highest authority, Professor Walden? What was it, Professor? A sonnet or a canzone?
Well, Dr. Hall, I'm afraid I have to support my pupil. He is quite correct. It was a canzone.
It was? Well, thank you, Professor Walden, and thank you, Matthew. I think I'd better retire from the field. One more such blunder, and I shall never be able to face either of the Waldens again. I congratulate you, Matthew. Your father has a reputation for being exacting, and you've just given us a fine demonstration of your own sense of exactitude. And thank you all for the privilege of being with you.
Oh, Toddy, that was perfectly splendid. Now, what was the reaction of the class?
Well, they've been perfectly conscious of the emotional drama that has been taking place all semester, Vicky, so they were as delighted as I was with the outcome. Although I must say they were most unconcerned with the fact that my reputation became slightly tarnished in the process.
Oh, well, I'm sure it didn't, Toddy. Not even with Professor Walden.
Well, I don't know. Professor Walden is such a straightforward and direct man. My devious tactics may have escaped him.
Well, I'm sure he's grateful to you in any case. Well, I get it, darling. Hello, Matthew.
Hello, Mrs. Hall. Is Dr. Hall busy?
Come in. We were just talking about you.
Ah, Matthew, I'm glad you came by. I wanted to thank you for helping me out of my difficulties this afternoon.
You thanked me, Dr. Hall, for what?
For picking up your cue so quickly.
For being so distressingly accurate in correcting my blunder.
About that, Dr. Hall, my father and I have discussed the matter.
Oh?
And he wanted to make absolutely sure that I was correct, so he looked up the very best authority on the subject. I've brought the reference with me to show to you.
Oh, I'm perfectly ready to accept Professor Walden's own judgment.
Well, he was particularly anxious for you to look at this.
Oh, very well. Let me see it. Good heavens. So I am convicted by my own evidence. Well.
What is it, Charlie? Let me see.
It's something Father found in the files of the department.
Oh, it's the canzone form as used by Dante. Term paper by William Todd Hunter Hall. And you got an A+.
I'd forgotten about that completely. I'm afraid I'd make a very poor criminal. I leave a trail which could be followed on a rainy day by a bloodhound with a cold in the head, a tight collar, and a disinterest in the pursuit. I'm afraid I only deserve a C- in subterfuge.
You rate a straight A in the Walden household, Dr. Hall.
Well, as Dr. Hall's father used to say, Matt, it is not the grade which makes the man. It is the man who makes the grade. Isn't that what your father used to say, William?
Your memory, my darling, is more than phenomenal. It is positively supernatural. To think of your remembering things said by my father, whom you never met. But I'm sure that as a lover of beautiful things, he would have said them had he known you would repeat them.
Played by Herbert Butterfield, and Louisa is Elizabeth Patterson. Also heard tonight were Virginia Gregg and William Irwin. Tonight's script was written by Philip Nelson and Don Quinn. Music was composed and conducted by Henry Russell. Ken Carpenter speaking.
Oh, we love the halls of ivy that surround us here today.
This production of The Halls of Ivy was broadcast with an actual audience present in the studio.
We meet far, far away to the hallowed halls of ivy. Every voice will bid farewell and shimmer off in twilight like the old vesper bird.
The Ford Dealers of America present The Fred Allen Show. The Fred Allen Show with Fred's guest, New York's favorite disc jockey, Jack Eigan, Minerva Fires, Peter Donald, Parker Fenley, the DeMarco sisters, and Al Goodman and his orchestra. And this is Kenny Delmar bringing you some big news from your friendly Ford dealer. Next Thursday, June 10th, the world premiere of the 49 Ford, the first big motor car showing in 8 years, will be held at the Waldorf Astoria in New York City. 8 days later, on June 18th, a week from next Friday, your Ford dealer will display the new 49 Ford in his showroom. So mark these important dates on your calendar. Next Thursday, June 10th, world premiere of the 49 Ford at the Waldorf in New York. On Friday, June 18th, nationwide premiere of the 49 Ford at 6,400 Ford dealers. Starting on these dates, America will see the car of the year. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time each year, most of the leading comedians leave radio for their annual summer vacation. One hardy Punchinello still carries on, however, and here he is, Fred Allen.
Thank you, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. And Kenny, you're right about most of the comedians starting on their summer vacation.
Yeah, Red Skelton finished this week. Right. Bill McGee and Molly.
Yeah.
Phil Harris, Amos and Andy.
I know.
Jack Benny is still on, isn't he?
Oh, yes. Up until this year, you know, Benny had to finish before the weather got too hot.
Oh, and Jack can stay on in hot weather now?
Since Airwick has been invented.
Well, I read that Edgar Bergen is going to spend his vacation in Sweden and Norway.
Yes, sure. That's right, Kenny. Edgar is taking his fjord back home for service.
What is a fjord?
Kenny, did I hear you correctly? That question coming from the announcer on this program can lead to sudden unemployment, Kenny. Before you get fired, though, what is new?
Well, I heard you on We the People last week.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Nature Boy was on the program with you.
Yes, Kenny. I had a long talk with Nature Boy through an interpreter. You know, Nature Boy is only going to stay in the swamps one more year.
In the swamps?
If he doesn't find Chloe by then, he's giving the whole thing up.
Well, didn't New York confuse Nature Boy?
Yes, he confessed to me behind a video executive there. He told me that New York did confuse him. The first time Nature Boy saw the Holland Tunnel, he fainted. He thought it was a big gopher hole. And gopher reminds me, I think I'll go for the writer who wrote that joke. On my way to Allen's Alley. I think I'll go.
Well, what is your question tonight?
Well, this week, the Federal Reserve Board announced that credit buying is at a record high, and most families in America will overspend their incomes for 1948. And so our question is, are you spending more than you are making this year?
Shall we go?
As the big toe said when the man stepped on the lawnmower, I am off. What a night in Allen's Alley, Kenny. There must be a benefit in the sky. All the stars are out. Well, let's see if Senator Claghorn is around.
Somebody fogged my flap.
Yeah.
As the tax collector says, let me have it, Tom.
Well, look,
get going. I'm busier than a man with a stiff neck trying to watch a tennis match.
Now, wait a minute.
I'm leaving for for college tomorrow. I'm getting an honorary degree.
A degree?
I'm flattered, son. I never had no education. I'm a self-made man.
A self-made man?
I'm demonstrating the horrors of unskilled labor.
Well, tell me, Senator, what do you want in college?
I'm polishing up my Spanish, son.
Spanish?
Yeah, Henry Wallace is down in New Mexico speaking Spanish. I gotta head him off.
But,
CC amigos.
What was that?
CC amigos. I speak Spanish like a castanet.
I could tell that.
Las Antiguas Senora Popona Ella Polillo Pogo en Mezcla Patada.
Oh, wait a minute. What is that translated?
The old lady is sticking a pogo stick in the mashed potatoes.
Well, isn't that an unusual sentence?
Not in Spain. You can't trust an old lady in Spain, son. The minute your back is turned, she'll pull an enchilada on you.
Oh. Well, look, Senator, our question tonight is about families overspending this year.
The Democrats started that trend, son. Democrats is in favor of spending.
Spending what?
The next 4 years in the White House. So long, son. So long, Eddie.
Well, the senator sure gets some inside information. But let's see what Mr. Moody thinks about it.
Howdy, Bob.
Well, Mr. Moody, how do you feel about this overspending?
Why, the trouble is, people are buying too many things on the installment plan.
What causes that?
It's them smooth-talking sales fellas.
Yeah?
They're slick as slush.
Slick as slush, eh? You've had an experience?
I'm still laughing.
Laughing? What happened?
Well, sir, one day, I was sitting in the kitchen, catching some flies from a pet spider.
Catching flies?
Yeah, my spider's got a stomach disorder.
Oh, I see.
He can't spin a web.
Uh-huh.
He grunts and spins, but nothing comes out. And without a web, the spider can't catch nothing.
Oh, and you?
I catch flies and mosquitoes to feed my spider.
Well, it's very nice of you.
Well, this day I was cupping my hand and catching flies. I heard somebody knocking.
Knocking, hey?
I went to the door.
Yeah?
It's a feller in a checkered suit. He's a fast-talking Weisenheimer.
A Weisenheimer, huh?
Yeah. He says, Rube, can you write? I says, yes.
Yeah.
Easy words.
Yeah.
He says, sign here on the dotted line.
Well, sign for what?
He says, for nothing down and 400 easy monthly payments, you are now the sole owner of a little dandy electric toaster, electric refrigerator, electric iron, and electric stove.
You bought all of these things?
Yeah. As I'm signing, I'm laughing to myself.
You're laughing, eh?
For the last 10 years, every month when I'm paying the $84 installment, as I'm handing him the money, I laugh right in his face.
Your house is full of electrical gadgets, isn't it?
Yep.
Then why are you laughing?
Because my house ain't wired for electricity. So long, Mom.
Well, Titus sure has them. Well, let's try this next door.
Happy Chappie.
Ah, Mrs. Nussbaum. Is that a new book you're reading?
This is to Moby Dick, a sequel.
Oh, Moby Dick? Moby Dick, that story about the whale?
This they are calling Moby Max.
Moby Max?
For 3 weeks is living inside the sturgeon, a man.
A man inside a sturgeon?
To me, it's just silly.
Well, how do you mean?
If inside the sturgeon is trapped a man,
yes,
he could eating himself out from inside the sturgeon.
From inside?
Eating from inside out the sturgeon is delicious.
Well, I've never tried it that way. Well, Mrs. Nussbaum, what about this overspending business?
I'm calling to mind an old saying.
Yes?
The leg is not knowing what the pocket is thinking.
That is an old saying. What? But that doesn't make sense.
Overspending also is not making sense.
Oh.
I'm bringing it in cleverly so you will catch the point.
I see. Well, never mind the cleverness right now. Tell me, what about people spending more than their income?
A neighbor, Taboo Rappaport, is constantly overspending.
How do you know?
Although she is not working, always Taboo is buying fur coats, jewelry, also nicks with necks.
Well, If Taboo Rappaport doesn't work, how can she afford to keep buying things?
From Europe, a sister is sending cash.
Well, where does a sister in Europe get the money?
From a plan.
The Morris plan?
The Marshall Plan.
Oh, Well, here we are at the driveway of Mr. Cassidy's estate. I wonder if Ajax is in. Well, Mr. Cassidy, what about people overspending?
Happy boy, when I hear the word overspending, it calls to mind the sad plight of Rinty Monahan.
What happened to Rinty?
Well, you recall that Black Friday when Mayor O'Dwyer announced on July 1st he was raising the subway fare to 10 cents?
I do.
On that day, Rinty found himself stuck with 10,000 nickel slugs.
So?
Rinty invited me out for an evening of revelry while he disposed of his outmoded illegal tender.
And, you accepted?
Oh, as soon as Rinty loaded the slugs into 2 duffel bags, we was off for Coney Island.
Rinty was spending his slugs, eh?
The sky was the limit. Going into the subway, we went through 4 turnstiles, 1 for each leg.
I see.
And when we got to Coney Island, the fun began.
The fun, hey?
Rinty found a nearsighted lemonade man.
The lemonade man? The lemonade man took the slugs?
You're nearsighted yourself, aren't you? No. The lemonade man not only took the slugs, me boy, he was giving us change.
Giving you change? Fine.
Then with the slugs, we started taking free rides.
Oh, fine.
On the Flying Atom. We went on the Flying Atom.
The Flying Atom? What is the Flying Atom?
Well, you step into a capsule,
yeah?
They throw in a little uranium, and whoop, get off.
Say, that's some ride.
About 3 o'clock in the morning, I says, Rinty, I think me spine is gone.
Yeah.
I just sat down up to me shoulder blade.
Yes?
Rinty says, Cassidy, we'll have one last free ride.
Uh-huh.
With that, a man in a blue ensemble stepped out of the tunnel of love. Says he, gentlemen, you'll have your last free ride with me.
And your last free ride?
It was in the patrol.
Well, tell me, where is Rinty?
Oh, he's still in the hoosegow.
Still in?
Rinty forgot himself.
How?
When the judge sentenced him.
Yes?
Rinty tried to pay his fine with slugs.
Maestro Goodman signals us to stop this levity. He's ready to conduct. The 5 DeMarco sisters curtsy. The maestro raises his plastic baton. The song, I May Be Wrong. Girls?
I may be wrong, but I think you're wonderful. I may be wrong, but I think you're swell. I like your style and I like your smile and I think it's marvelous, but I'm always wrong, so how can I ever tell? All of my clothes are unsightly, all of my hats are aside. If they knew what they cried me, it's the very first time you came along, Jane. I think you're wonderful. I think you're grand, but I may be wrong. Oh, if I've ever been right, I'm hoping it's this time. You came along, Jane. I think you're wonderful. I think you're grand, but I've been known to be so wrong.
Thank you. And now, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, wait a minute. Hey, wait, Kenny, wait a minute. Kenny, what is this? We're not supposed to have music now.
Oh, Al Goodman's helping me out with a problem.
Yeah, what problem?
The 49 Ford will be here soon, and it's so wonderful, Fred. I can't find words to describe it, so I asked Al to try and describe it with music.
Well, how can you describe the new Ford with music?
Show him, Al.
What did that describe?
Well, that gives you an idea of the new Ford's beauty and its long, low line.
Say, that was swell, Kenny.
Now, listen to this next part.
What was that?
That was silky and smooth, like the new Ford's midship ride. You travel in the center of the car where the going is smoothest.
Say, this music's a great idea.
Now we show the power of Ford's two great new economy engines, 95 horsepower 6 and 100 horsepower V8. Okay, Al?
Great, Kenny. The music of the year for the car of the year. Is that the finish?
No, we still haven't covered the new Ford's roominess, and there's picture window visibility, magic action brakes, hydrocoil front springs, and Paraflex rear springs.
Now, wait a minute. Hold it, Kenny. Now you're overdoing it. You can't describe all of these features with music.
You're right, Fred. Music can't describe the new 49 Ford any better than words. So, folks, you'd better make a date now to see the car of the year at your Ford dealer starting June 18th.
That was the end of Maestro Goodman's Ford Sonata, played by the maestro and 25 men who, unlike the new 1490 Fords, are not going places. And now, ladies and Kenny.
Yes, Fred.
Could you run out and get me a stamp, please? I have to write my weekly letter to Portland.
Okay, Fred.
Now, let me see. June 6th, capital 6. Dear Portland, a funny thing happened this week. Letters have been pouring in for months, all asking the same question. Who is Jack Eigan? Well, I couldn't very well answer every letter, so I thought the best thing to do would be to ask Jack Eigan to be a guest on our program. Jack is a disc jockey at the Copacabana nightclub, so last Thursday after midnight, I went over to the Copa. The Eigan program was just going on the air. As I came in, I heard Jack say, "Meet me at the Copa."
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's midnight here in New York, and this is your Broadway and Hollywood reporter, Jack Eigan. This is a big night at the Copacabana. The lounge is packed with celebrities. Sitting over there is Ma Perkins with Nick Henny.
Oh.
And at the next table, Georgie Jessel is giving a big party with a magnum of celery tonic and 4 straws. What a night. I'm at the Copa. Where are you? Say, here's a celebrity sneaking by the check room with his hat on. Why, it's Fred Allen. I'm going to ask Fred to say a few words. Right this way, Fred.
Thank you, Jack. Say, Jack, what's new?
Well, I was just going to play a record, Fred. I had a request for Cohen on the telephone.
Who requested Cohen on the telephone?
Cohen.
Jack, before you play any record, you're always interviewing guests on your program. Say, how about changing it around tonight? Let me interview you.
Okay, Fred, go ahead.
Well, Jack, you're not the only guy sitting up all night playing phonograph records and chewing the fat.
Please, Fred, not fat. At the Copa, I chew the caviar.
Oh, at the Copa. Well, I mean, you're not the only disc jockey here in New York.
No, there's the Midnight Milkman.
Yes.
And Delancey Street Dave.
Delancey Street Dave?
Yes, he has a phonograph on a pushcart.
Oh, on a pushcart. I've heard him. His theme song is Wagon Wheel.
And down in Chinatown, there's a disc jockey, Fred. His name is Hot Wax Wong. He broadcasts from a chop suey restaurant.
A chop suey restaurant?
Yes, and it's very hard to hear his records.
Why?
Well, instead of a needle, he uses a noodle.
Oh, I see. He does it the hard way, I see. Say, I know a disc jockey at Cousin Ben's Diner over in Nutley, New Jersey. He broadcasts from a lunch wagon. Well, one morning about 5 o'clock, the disc jockey was a little groggy, and instead of a record, he put on a buckwheat cake. Well, he was off the air for 2 hours until he scraped the batter off his needle. But, Jack, working all night, you must lead a very irregular life.
Yes, Fred, I live just the opposite from most people.
Well, what is your average day like?
Well, every day I get up at the crack of dusk.
The crack of dusk, eh?
Yes, and after I eat breakfast, if it's a nice day, I go to a night baseball game.
I see.
And after the game, it's almost midnight. Well, I'm ready for lunch.
Where do you eat?
At the automat.
Well, at midnight, isn't the automat closed?
I have my own key, Fred.
Oh, they give you... Very nice of you.
Yes, they leave me some food in a special compartment.
Well, how do you find one of those little compartments in the dark?
They keep a light burning in the window just for me.
Oh. And when you finish your midnight lunch...
I blow out the light and come here to the Copa.
Well, Jack, sitting here playing records all night, you must have a lot of time on your hands.
Yes, Fred, but I don't mind. It gives me a chance to do some thinking.
Really? What do you think about?
Well, mostly about radio and all the things that are wrong with radio.
Really? What things?
Well, take some of those dopey contestants on quiz programs.
Dopey contestants?
Yeah, how can the quiz masters be so considerate of morons?
You mean one of those quiz shows that starts something like this?
Take it or we'll sue. The quiz program that makes every contestant a capitalist. And here is your quiz master, Ready Money Ralph. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Here's our first contestant. What is your name, please, sir? Never mind. Here it is on your card. Your name is Gabriel Gunselfinger.
That's me.
I know it's you. I just told you.
What did I win?
$50. Now you want to try for $100? Good. Here's your next question. Now, who was the first president of the United States? His first name was George. There is a bridge named after him.
George Bridge.
Oh, I'm terribly sorry, Mr. Gunselfinger. I think you'll find the first president was not George Bridge.
No?
He was George Washington.
Oh.
But you were certainly close. You made a grand try. Here's $500. Or we'll sue.
Is that what you mean, Jack?
Yes, the guy's a jerk. He doesn't even know his own name. They treat him as though he's Einstein.
I know.
Fred, just once, I'd like to hear a quizmaster tell one of those dopes off.
What you would like to hear, in other words, is something like this.
Money Stick, the exciting new quiz program. Every contestant's head is covered with glue. The lucky winner puts his head into a bag of money, and all of the money that sticks to the contestant's head is his. For Money Stick. And here's our quizmaster, Art Finkletter. Well, sir, we're ready to play Money Stick. Our first contestant is here with his head covered with glue. What is your name, sir? You don't know your own name, do you? Still, you have the audacity to come up here on the stage and try to answer questions. Radio is full of you crumbs, cluttering up quiz programs, wasting everybody's time. Do you know what you want to do?
Give me a hint.
I'll give you a hint.
What should I do?
Drop dead!
Is that what you mean, Jack?
Oh, that was a pleasure, Fred.
Yeah?
All those morons should be told off.
Well, what else bothers you in radio?
Those soap commercials where people whisper about you if you don't use a certain soap.
Oh, that whispering. You mean one of those soap commercials that start?
Folks, have you tried Aroma? The new all-purpose scientific soap? Aroma has the lather with the locked-in perfume. Do your friends say, wow, when you come into the room? You may have elbotosis, the medical name for potent elbows. Try a cake of Aroma in your bath. You will be as fragrant as a tiger lily. Do what John Brown did. John Brown was a secretary to a big businessman. John Brown had you know what? His desk was not inside the office. John Brown sat outside in the hall. When the boss wanted to dictate a letter, he opened the door.
Come in, Brown.
Yes, sir.
Wow! Brown, don't come near me. I want to dictate a letter. Get in that closet.
Yes. John Brown had to take dictation hidden in a closet. He had elbotosis, the medical name for potent elbows. Even his best friends wouldn't tell him. One day, an enemy told John Brown about Aroma soap. That night, he tried it. The next morning, when the boss wanted to dictate a letter, he opened the office door.
Come in, Brown.
Yes, sir.
Dad, what is that fragrant tiger lily odor?
It is I, sir.
You smell lovely, Brown.
Yes, sir. Shall I get in the closet, sir?
No, Brown. Come sit on my lap.
John Brown takes dictation sitting on his boss's lap. Someday he will be a vice president. Do you want to sit on the boss's lap? Do you want to smell like a tiger lily? Try a cake of aroma tonight.
Is that what gets on your nerves, Jack?
Yes, the guy takes one bath and he's a member of the firm already. Why doesn't somebody invent a soap that will just leave you alone?
You'd like to hear a soap commercial something like this.
Friends, have you tried Lumpo, the new won't-do-nothing soap? Lumpo won't lather, Lumpo won't clean. But if you get lonesome bathing, Lumpo is good company in the tub. If you want to keep those dishpan hands you've got, if you want to keep that rough, scaly complexion, if you want to take a bath and be the same getting out of the tub as you were getting in, try a lump of Lumpo. Lumpo leaves you alone, spelled A-L-O-N-E.
Well, how is that? Great. Well, what else in radio gets on your nerves?
Those daytime serials, Fred.
Jack, you with your schedule, you heard a daytime serial?
Well, I woke up in the middle of the night after I heard it. I was so worried about the family I couldn't go back to sleep.
What you heard, I gather, was something like this.
Presenting Life Can Be Lived. Another chapter in the life of John Doe and his typical family living in the typical Quonset hut halfway up the next block. Yesterday we left the whole family with their noses pressed against the parlor window, crying as Granny Doe's funeral started off. As the scene opens today, John Doe enters the room.
Mary.
John, you've come.
Yes, Mary. Something is wrong.
It's Grandpa. He needs another operation.
Another operation? Grandpa just came back from the hospital this morning.
I know he fell through the bottom of the ambulance. There was a loose plank.
Another operation. Mary, we have no money.
But if Grandpa isn't operated upon immediately, his sight will keep failing.
Turn on the light. Poor Grandpa.
John, have you seen Junior?
No, I haven't.
I hope he hasn't been run over again. Wheel me to the window, John.
Mary, you are in a wheelchair.
Oh, John, I hope you wouldn't notice.
Here comes Junior.
Who am I?
Mary, Junior has galloping amnesia.
Who am I, Hay? The landlord. Must have hit him on the head again.
That means the rent is due.
Oh, John, what are we going to do? The rent, Grandpa's eyes, my legs, Junior's head.
We haven't any money, Mary. There's only one thing we can do.
What can we do, John?
We can all cry, Mary.
And with John Doe and his family crying as though their house would break, we end another chapter of Life Can Be Lived.
Is that what you heard, Jack?
Yes, Fred, and it made me sore.
Sore?
John Doe sounds like an intelligent guy. What does he put up with all that stuff for?
You mean you'd rather hear a serial that sounded like this? Mary.
John, you've come.
You're always calling me at the filling station. What's wrong now?
It's Grandpa. His eyes are failing.
Turn on the light. Get up, you old schmo.
John, here comes Junior. Who am I?
What's wrong with him?
Junior doesn't know who he is.
That's the last straw, Mary. Trouble. 15 minutes every day, 5 days a week. Trouble. I've had enough.
John, put down that gun.
Get back in that wheelchair, Mary.
Who am I?
You too.
Oh.
Turn on the light. Okay, Grandpa.
Never mind, Joe.
One more bullet. Here goes.
Folks, you have just heard the final episode in Life Can Be Death. Tune in tomorrow when we will bring you a whole new family.
Well, Jack, have you any more complaints about radio?
No, Fred, I guess that takes care of everything.
Well, thanks a lot for this visit at the Copa with you tonight.
Say, we've been talking a long time. I better put a record on.
Yeah, what record have you got there?
This is Al Goodman playing Doing What Comes Natural.
Oh, swell. thank Jack Eigan for joining us tonight. Next week, our guest will be Miss Shirley Booth and the Moylan sisters. And the following Friday, June 18th, is the day of the year at your Ford dealers. Starting June 18th at your Ford dealers showrooms, you're all invited to see the brand new 49 Ford. A Ford that's new from the ground up. Thank you, and good night. Good night. Thank you.
This program came to you from New York. This is NBC, the National Broadcasting Company.